Hello, everybody, and welcome to the GKR 2025 NA Brawl Star Circuit. We are 50% of the way through this group stage, and I'm your host, Panicast. I was going to say Duncan Brawl Stars because I forgot my name. But yeah, Panicast, joined by the amazing and very, very handsome Duncan Brawl Stars. How are you doing today, Duncan? I don't know. I mean, it's certainly going to be a banger. Like, if you look at this, they are the top two teams of the BSC at the the top rung. They were the representatives of the Brawl Cup, so obviously it should be an action-packed event here. But just looking at how things have been going, at least in the GKR, Elevate lost to Tribe in the previous match day, and they lost Code OG in the second match day. So while Tribe are still undefeated in NA in all competitions, but we don't talk about Dallas, right? I mean, that means that they're not undefeated in NA, but we're talking about the regional circuit. But despite the dismal showing in Dallas, Tribe Gaming have kind of turned over a new tree, I would say. Not even a leaf, because they are looking much better informed in the qualifiers. They made it to the monthly finals from the upper bracket, not taking a single loss, and Elevate also has done the same thing. And this wasn't really the Elevate squad that we had for the BSC, but slowly with the addition of Patchy, and then we have Vegeta, and now we have EvX join the ensemble, it's looking to be a very good matchup here, and we're gonna probably see flavors of brilliance with this Tribe Gaming and Elevate roster. But it's definitely going to be a hard match, especially for Elevate, since they are at the bottom of the leaderboard in terms of the GKR, which is not, I mean, I wouldn't say bottom, but they've only won once, so this is not the best showing for them so far. Uh, okay, I'll fix it. Sorry. My bad. Sorry about that, guys. I'm just gonna fix that because I am a professional guy. Hello, Duncan. Can you talk again?
Yes. How we doing,
Okay,
chat?
he's good. He's here. Sorry.
Sorry, you guys missed all my beautiful analysis going into there.
My bad, chat. My bad. I'm an unk. I'm facing a little bit of memory problems, I'm guessing, but Duncan is back here. Like he was saying, Elevate Tribe Game is promising to be a really great match here, but we are going to be talking a little bit about the maps. Today is match day number 4, and the way GKR works is that in each of the match days you have a different game mode, right? So today's game mode of choice is going to be Hot Zone, and the maps are going to be Dueling Beetles, Open Business, and Ring of Fire. Now, if you just talk about the maps, we have a very cagey map with Dueling Beetles. Open Business, as the name suggests, is quite open, and Ring of Fire is just baptism by fire if you so require it, because that's going to be a set number 3. It is a best of 3 tournament here. And back to you, Duncan. I apologize once more for cutting you off, buddy.
It's okay, man. I'm sure I'll come around to all those points I was making. But anyway, dude, we got some banger hot zone maps coming up here. Starting off with Dueling Beetles, I think it is going to be one of the trickier ones to draft for. Like you said, it is very, very cagey. It's also one of the maps where throwers and tanks kind of thrive, but it's always kind of about that balance because you want to be able to sit on the zone, and obviously the tanks are going to be better for that, but the throwers are going to be able to rack up that damage from behind the walls. Although they can't really have all that much staying power on the zone themselves, there are some exceptions to this, like the Barry with his heals, and then Barley kind of has his heal gadget as well. So those are the throwers I expect to see a little bit more of, but also it's a map where you can definitely go some assassins as well well. So Kenji and Lily, I think, are definitely going to be in the play here. I don't know, though. It's going to be a map where I think the drafts are going to differ as we go across from team to team here. So hopefully we'll get a little bit of a mix up there, not getting the same draft over and over again. I think that this is a map that kind of provides us the potential for that.
Indeed, and also we have some balance changes that are going to be coming maybe in a few days, or I'm not exactly sure the time, but there are some considerations, which means that it's going to be the final dance for some of these brawlers. Kenji is going to be getting a massive nerf. In fact, his hypercharge charge rate is going to go from 35% to 25%. Hypercharge pull effect is going to go down by 75%, and they also removed the knockoff from the hypercharge. That means that Kenji, when he hits his hypercharge, isn't going to teleport to where the enemies are. So that's going to be a huge nerf. So this is probably going to be one of the last match days that we see Kenji being as dominant a brawler that he is. Lumi is another brawler that is going to be having some nerfs as well. The halftime star power, which is the one which gives you slows when it comes back to you on the reclaim. Its slow duration is going to be slowed from 2 seconds to 1 second. So both Lumi and Kenji, probably the last opportunity that we're going to see them in comp, at least in terms of the niche that they are in. Kenji right now doesn't satisfy any niche. He's kind of broken. You can run him almost everywhere.
Yeah, I think I speak for a lot of you guys in the community when I say this, but thank you, Supercell. Finally, Supercell, we get to see the Kenji and Lumi nerf. I've been begging for this in my videos for the longest. I'm sure that if you guys have been playing ranked, you share my sentiments there. But Kenji has been absolutely terrorizing the meta. Lumi has been terrorizing the meta. I'm really happy that they're not going to be automatic bans, automatic first picks. It's about time that we get some variety, and I think that's what these balance changes are going to provide. So I'm very much looking forward. I mean, I guess we'll see them with their last hurrah today. It'll be a little bit of a final goodbye to Kenji and Lumi as being the most broken brawlers in the game, but we'll see how often they slip through the bans. Hopefully it's we get to see at least one time. I'm sure that we will, though.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can't go wrong with these brawlers right now. They're kind of so oppressive, especially in, on maps like doing Beetles and Open Business. There are enough walls to make Lumi a big threat, and though most of the balance changes are about the MOBA itself, right now, the only two major balance changes happening outside of the MOBA is going to be that Kenji and Lumi nerf. And just looking at the bans, it is emblematic of the problem that we have in Brawl Stars right now. Kenji, Barry, Lumi being banned out, Lou, Barley, and Griff as well here, with Tri picking up Jaeyoung as their first pick all over.
Yeah, the Jaeyoung with the first pick is definitely a pretty versatile option right there. He's obviously got the speed he's able to give to his teammates. He can switch to that heal mode, which is probably going to be a little bit more effective in a map like Hot Zone, where you're just trying to keep your entire team healthy on that zone. As that time clicks up, we're going to see the heal counter come through immediately for Elevate, though. With the Crow, he's not as meta as he once was in years past, but the only thing that he really is picked for is to counter out heal. He has that anti-heal capability, and I think that's what Elevate is going for with this Crow pick. So I understand it, but I don't necessarily love it. Besides that anti-heal, he's really not going to be able to do a whole lot, in my professional opinion, as they add a Hank to that comp as well, Pan.
Bro said in his professional opinion. I love it. With the Hank, nice. I like the Hank as well. It's still a really good option, especially on a map like this with all the walls that exist, and it's great for taking out a lot of the other tank options. Obviously, consideration here, because Jaeyoung is being brought out, means that Tribe Gaming have the leeway to go for tanks, and I think that the Hank was a good shout from Elevate to counter that as a possibility. Crow as well gives you the slow, gives you the anti-heal, and once you get that hyper charge, which is going to be like what, 3/4 of the way through the game, it's going to be even more devastating for Tribe Gaming as they pick up a bow. And I like the bow. You're going to have that totem to get your supers up. You're going to be able to put those mines down, especially with the hypercharged mines as well. It just means that Hank is not going to be able to stay on the zone all the time. He has to also check, so his teammates had to pick up the slack there. And Ash going to be coming out, which is going to be rounding out this composition from Tribe Gaming. They have sustain, they have the HP and the healing, along with the mode switches from Jaeyoung, and the aggro aggression, which is going to be unbridled coming in through Ash. RBM, probably the best Ashes in the world.
Definitely seems like a comfort pick coming out from Tribe right there. We see Elevate take the Mortis with the final pick of the draft, though, and honestly, I think it makes a lot of sense. They don't really have a significant amount of burst damage that is going to be able to deal with the Mortis quickly. He has enough movement speed to be able to kind of finesse out of some of those ass shots. Obviously, RBM is going to be pretty dialed in on that brawler, but there's definitely potential for Mortis to make some huge plays here. He gets his hypercharge relatively quickly, too, and against this comp, I think he's going to be able to cycle it like crazy. So I really do like this comp from Elevate. I think that they really tied it together well with the Mortis, but we're going into game number 1 of the day, guys. Elevate between Tribe Gaming, and it looks like RBM might be having a little bit of trouble getting into this game, Pan.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate for him, but Evex should be doing a pretty decent job on this Mortis here with the matchups involved. But, you know, classically, Patchy is known as the Mort guy, so it is interesting to see that he is not going to be in that role, but I think he satisfies this one probably even better. He pops his super, but gets taken out. Great start from Tribe Gaming to reclaim their the point here, but they are behind here in terms of the possession of the hot zone.
Yeah, I think as far as their start went there, they're going to be happy enough with how this has played out so far. RBM is back into the fold. Patchy is going to be disarming those mines. You don't see the bow mines getting too much value outside of being a distraction in competitive play, and that's what Patchy is showing right here. As they do take out RBM, Vegeta is going to be jumping up right there. He's going to be in a little bit of a tough situation. Luffy does clean that up, but that's going to make for free eats for Evex. Doesn't even have to use that super right now. Looking to line it up on RBM and Zeus right there, and that's exactly what he does. This is just, the Mortis pick is absolutely terrorizing them right now. This lead is above 60% right now.
And you can even notice that Evex doesn't really have good ping in this situation, but he's still doing a number on Tribe. Now they do have control. There are some mines as well, but Evex doing a great job of removing the mines from the equation. Patchy has the hypercharge, could go for it, pops a purple, but not able to find anybody. Evex goes in, cleans up Kaisa's dog, hypercharge from Vegeta, not able to find a kill on RBM just yet, but no, the kills are confirmed because of the poison. Beautiful plays coming in from Elevate, and they are now on the lead, 40%, just 10% more to get this first game in the bag.
It looks like the pressure from Patchy is likely going to be enough for his team to clean that up. Evex with the hypercharge as well, just for good measure right there, adding a little bit of insult to injury with a very clean Elevate win in game number 1 on Dueling Beetles. It looks like this comp might just be a little bit too much for Tribe to overcome. I think that they were very open to the Mortis last pick, and that's the brawler that we saw kind of dictating the pace of this game. The Mortis plays were coming in hot and heavy, and that just gave Elevate the advantage they needed here.
Yeah, beautiful stuff coming in from Elevate. Evex just doing a number on the other team here. Let's see if Tribe Gaming are able to course correct here. Already from the start, we see a better start coming in from Elevate. And Evex and a Terra getting the kill on a Zeus is going to be huge, and it's going to cement Elevate's position on this point here, Duncan.
Ooh, yeah, and we see EVX going in for a little bit more damage right there, but the Jae Young damage gear is going to be enough to take him out there. Patchy is going to be next to fall, so just Vegeta left on the point, but we don't see Tribe getting any of the zone time right now. Even though they do have the bow mines out, the Mortis is maybe the best brawler in the game for dodging those. He does miss the bats right there, which is going to be quite unfortunate. RBM's doing what he can, but it still seems like a very, very healthy lead for the side of Elevate.
Ooh, Evex doing so much for his team. It's kind of crazy. Tribe on the back point, not able to really compete here, though Luffy's trying to pick up the slack for his teammates, but Evex ever present on the map and a huge bully, and pops his hypercharge, not able to line up those bats perfectly, but still gets the kill nonetheless on an RBM, who is probably the linchpin of Tribe Gaming right now.
Exactly, and we see Vegeta with that Crow hypercharge online, as well as Patchy with his Hank hypercharge. He's doing some work onto RBM, likely not going to be able to survive this. Indeed, he does fall to the rats, but that's going to be a trade out there. Evex is going to get that kill as well, so just him and Zeus left on the point right now. Nobody's collecting any zone time, and surprisingly, Zeus is actually going to be able to get that kill. Still a little bit unlikely that they're going to be able to come back, but Vegeta actually does get hit by the bow mines. This is the saving grace that Tribe needed to have a chance at coming back here. Only 10% left for Elevate, though.
Yeah, it's a very difficult order for Tribe. They are down here, and purple button coming online for the members of Elevate. One kill is confirmed. Bats are going to be cycled. He tries to find another, not able to do so, and Tribe might be able to come back here. They are trailing by 20%, but they have control of the hot zone. Though Patchy trying to get a little bit more onto the point. 3% is left here. Vegeta going in, as is Evex, and that's going to be game number 2 for Elevate. First set without any losses against Tribe Gaming.
That's a fantastic start for Elevate. That last game looked a little bit scary if they were not able to get that last 3% with that dive right there. Tribe might have had a chance to come back with the reverse sweep right there, but Elevate outdrafted them, and the gameplay was good enough to be able to walk away with a W there. But Panda, may I remind you, last week, What did we see in set number 1 between these two teams? Elevate won easily, and then
That's
Trab
true.
won set 2 and set 3 extremely easily. So maybe we're going to see a repeat of the same. Maybe Elevate will be able to lock it out as we get into open business. But a great set 1 from the team.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying, but I have to remember, right, and remind us that while Elevate did win the first set last week, I would say that it wasn't in the same realm of like,
Yeah.
uh, what's the word I'm looking for here? I wouldn't say it's the same kind of result that we got, because this was considerably cleaner compared to what we saw last week. Elevate here, better draft, much better gameplay, not as many mistakes. There was one where Vegeta walked on in mine, but you know, that didn't matter in the greater scheme of things because of the draft itself. Gotta say, much cleaner Elevate side here, so Tribe Gaming might have difficulties in the second set, but you know, they've been in situations like this before, like you said, in the last match day, and even in other tournaments, I guess, but it's still not game over for Elevate. They still have to execute for the next set, otherwise they might be seeing a set number 3 if they don't get, you know, the same momentum going.
Definitely, and this is going to be a pretty similar map that we're going into as far as the draft goes. It's still pretty cagey. Obviously, all of these are going to be one hot zone map, so that's going to be something that's consistent throughout. But although there is a little bit more open space on open business than dueling beetles, there are still those walls there for the tanks and throwers to thrive with. So I think that we'll probably see a lot of the same brawlers come back into the fold. Some brawlers that I have my eye on specifically that are extremely good on this map is definitely Barry and Hank. I feel like that's a combination that a lot of teams use that is pretty overpowered. Another brawler that we didn't see in set number 1 though is going to be the Gray. If you run a Gray, you can kind of get those teleporters set up so that your teammates can get straight into the zone with their respawn shields. It's kind of a broken strategy, but I mean, it's something that exists in the game, so you got to think about it. Maybe Gray will be banned, maybe Gray will be picked, but him and Barry are two kind of like comp linchpins, I think, to use a word that you use a lot that I think we could see here.
Yeah, probably. We're gonna go into our draft here. Second set on open business. The brands are gonna be Barley, Griff, Clancy, Lumi, Finks, and Kenji. So 2 of the biggest threats are removed from the equation, which means that the first pick is going to be Elevate, obviously, and Barry is going to be the pickup that Elevate needs. And the nucleus, I guess the fulcrum upon which the composition depends, is going to be heavily Barry coded, and understanding that Barry opens up your options to a lot more tank options. Tribe Gaming opt for the Lu, and this works amazingly for them. They take the Lu to take out some of the other tanks and effectively make it more possible for Hank to be run, and also it denies the Barry Hank composition. So not only is it great for Tribe Gaming, it also is kind of a blow to what Elevate were probably going for as they pick up the B.
I completely agree with that. With the Barley, Griff, and Clancy bans, it seems to me that Elevate was definitely looking to go Barry and then add a tank. Probably the Hank would have been their preferred one, so smart by Tribe Gaming to take that out of the picture. Seems like they're adjusting their strategy a little bit now to be a bit more anti-tank, but never mind, actually, they are going to take the only brawler tankier than the Hank, and that's going to be the Frank. This is like turning into a little bit of a tongue twister over here in the casting booth, but they've got their anti-tank, they've got their healer, and they've got their tank. So very well-balanced comp from Elevate right here. Tribe Gaming has one more pick to respond to this. They already have their tank as well as their anti-tank, so curious to see. Maybe they go for a healer. Jae Young is going to be open, but there's a lot that they can go here.
Yeah, I was just thinking Jae Young is probably one of the better synergies here, but they go for Dynamite. I hope that's probably a mistake. Maybe they're able to cook with the Dynamite. We know that the stun gadget is, what, 24, 25 seconds now, so it's not going to be as effective, but still there are a lot of stunts. I'm still a little confused about this Dynamite pick. Yes, there are walls, but like if Frank breaks open the walls, then you know it's going to be easier for B to operate. So I don't really understand what Tribe Gaming is going for here. Maybe they just want Frank and Barry to be sitting ducks here.
I think it might be a little bit of an ego pick, but I mean, if you're able to line up those dynamite shots, they can definitely pack a punch. But we're going into set number 2 right here. Elevate is up 1-0, and we're going to see a little bit of a standstill on the zone right now. Nobody wants to be that first person to die. Nobody wants to overstep. You see Patchy and Vegeta just barely tickling the zone throughout the beginning of this game, but Luffy's going to be the one making the first move, trying to get up here without dying. RBM is going to be able to take out Evex on the left side of the map, though. Patchy's trying to clean up the Lu in the mid and does so successfully. That's going to be a 2v1 versus RBM in the middle now.
Yeah, good stuff for Elevate here. Walls are going to be broken down. RBM is not going to have an easy go at it after this wall has been taken down. There are a few more walls that need to be addressed here, but Zoo's going to be on the point along with Luffy. They're just cycling their presence there, and ever increasing the lead that Tribe Gaming have. RBM on a tear. He gets a kill on a Vegeta. He's trying to find the kill on an Evex. Your Evex so low, but so is Vegeta. Oh my god, RBM gets the kill on an Evex nonetheless.
Yeah, Luffy was able to help him out by getting that freeze off right there. Fantastic teamwork from Tribe as their lead is extending very significantly right now. Patchy's trying to get right up into Zeus's face, and Evex is actually going to dodge out of that Dynamite stun, but it's not going to be enough. We see the hypercharge online from Zeus as well. He's going to let that rip on the Patchy. Certainly going to be a kill for his team right there, and their lead is going up above 60% right now. They're probably going to win this game pretty easily right here. It seems like Elevate has no answer to the comp.
Yeah, I mean, we also saw Evex. He had a hypercharge, but he managed to dodge the Dynamax shot, but at the same time, he got taken out and didn't manage to actually hit his stun. So, there are a lot of small little mistakes being done by this Elevate side, but this ego pick from Tribe is working for sure. It's paying them dividends, and they can get the first win quite effectively. It's a role reversal, or rather a flip of the script from compared to the first set.
Absolutely. It seems like once they got any type of positioning on the zone, they just never let go of it in that first game. We're going to see if Elevate has a different answer moving into game number 2, but Vegeta's going to be stunned by Zeus. That's going to be the first kill coming down. Patchy is quick to follow. EVX is trying to do what he can right here, but he is very close to getting stunned out by the Lu. Indeed, he is going to get stunned right there. Not going to be able to confirm that kill for now, but we just see the time ticking up on the zone for Tribe Gaming. And that is going to be another kill from Zeus. He is kind of on a tear with his Dynamite. It seems like the ego pick is paying dividends, Panda.
I mean, just thinking about it, this actually does make sense. If Dynamite is set up, it's very hard to get in Dynamite's face if you don't have mobility. And here, looking at all three brawlers, there is only one with mobility, and it's Vegeta. And it's not going to be, on command. It's going to be if he's earned it with his supers. So Zeus is dodging so many of these shots. Been on the hot zone for a majority of the time here, and has been a thorn in the side of Elevate.
Yeah, I would have thought that the B pick would be able to do a little bit more than I've seen so far, but Patchy has just not really been able to line up these shots yet. Not really been able to get any of those big 4K shots onto RBM or Luffy right there. We're going to see the entire Elevate roster fall here. And 80% to 10%, this game is more or less going to be over, Pan. I think we're going to see Tribe tying up the sets at 1-1.
Yeah, this is looking very dominant. I was really surprised about the Dynamite pick, but it has paid the dividends, It might not look good on paper, but like I said, the mobility was lacking on Elevate's side. They didn't break open all the walls to make Dynamite kind of useless. The problem with this map is that, yes, a lot of walls do exist, but at the same time, because many of these walls exist, it's hard to break them down, so it just makes it easier for throwers to really live in very important clutch and choke points. So beautiful stuff coming in for Tribe Gaming. We're Elevate. We're left by the wayside, and now we're going to be forced into set number 3 on Ring of Fire.
Yeah, we might be seeing a little bit of a repeat from last week's matchup. I mean, we saw Elevate win set number 1 extremely easily. Then Tribe locked in for set number 2, and set number 3 was more of the same. So hopefully we'll see Elevate bounce back as we go into Ring of Fire right here. Definitely one of the better known hot zone maps throughout the community. It's been in the game forever, and I've seen a lot of people who love it, a lot of people who hate it, but it is going to be the most open out of all of the hot zone maps that we have in rotation today. So should make for a little bit of a different meta, although healers and tanks are still going to be pretty powerful.
Yeah. Wow, voice crack at 34. Nice. But yeah, I completely agree here. Healers are very important here. You also need to have a little bit of range going on. So maybe something like a Bell or a B might be a pretty decent mid option. You do have Jujus also being run because there's that one tile of grass that you can sit on as a Juju, and then you have all that range in the world to really bully people who are trying to be the mid brawler on the other side. So a lot of different options that you could go for. I feel like this map has adaptability, which is really great because you're going to see a lot more reactive drafts in Ring of Fire compared to the other maps.
Definitely. I think that the B is probably going to be another brawler that could be really good. I'm still a little surprised that Gray has not made his way into the fold at all yet, but this is another one that we could see the Gray come through on. As far as the tanks go, the only tank that we haven't seen that I think is pretty good in hot zone is going to be the Jackie. I feel like she does counter out a lot of the other tanks in the game. Her and Hank have a pretty interesting dynamic going on with their 1v1, but I feel like we might be able to see that come into the fold. Jackie and Gray is another combination I really do love to see, but this is another map where I think Juju could be a brawler that we see as well. I mean, there's all that water on the map that she's able to kind of stand up on, get those slow shots off, and then get that speed gadget going. So I think Juju could be pretty dominant. Maybe we'll just see a Dynamite though. Who knows? It seems like they're just kind of drafting whatever at this point.
I mean, it seemed like that on paper, but like, sometimes there are just some brawlers that you're really comfortable with on a map, and it may not necessarily make sense on paper, but it does make sense for the team synergy. So, kudos to them to making it work, and let's see what happens in this set as we go into our bans here on Ring of Fire. It's gonna be Lumi, B, Finks, Byron, and Juju. First pick from Tribe Gaming, gonna be the Griff, and Griff with a hypercharge is a very scary proposition. That cashback can now actually pierce through walls along with hitting multiple opponents, and the projectile speed is insanely fast. The cycling potential is also there, so very good pickup from Tribe, though I don't think it's a decent first pick, all things considered.
I think it's a pretty underrated pick in general, but it does feel a little bit early for the Griff. B being banned does make him a little bit more valid, though, considering that that's one of the bigger counters to him. Not going to be on the map right here. I like the Griff because he has that wall break as well. Those little L-shaped walls, kind of like near the zone right there, can be extremely annoying if the opponent gets behind that. It can take way longer than it should to get somebody out of that situation. So I like the wall break for that. Elevate's going to go with an Amber and with a Bell at the 2-3 turn right here. So they have some mid-range, they have some range, basically going to be kind of pre-countering any tanks out right there. And then Amber has a solid matchup into the Griff as well. I believe that she barely outranges him. She also has a pretty broken and underrated hypercharge to go along with Griffs right there. So I like this turn from Elevate.
Yeah, and we have Gray, which is open. We also have Kenji. None of the teams have picked up Kenji, and we know how broken the brawler it can be. So Tribe Gaming had the opportunity to go for that. They go for Bo instead. I think that they want to hold true to their strategy in mind and not be, seduced by the S tier brawlers in the meta, or 6-star brawlers, as Ash Brawl Stars likes to say.
That's a good word for it. I feel like that's pretty accurate right there. They went with the Bow in set number 1 as well, and it didn't work out great, but I still think that Bow on Hot Zone is kind of always going to have a place because of those mines. Even if they're not really getting that many connections, it's still going to be really annoying just to have to waste the time dodging it out. It makes you a little bit more predictable to shoot as well. And we do see the Kenji come off the board. Kind of not surprised about that at all. Definitely would have been a little bit insane to see him go completely undrafted here, but they're going to have that insane pressure from the Kenji. Not really a ton of burst damage from the Amber or the Bell, so he might be able to get to that hypercharge relatively quickly. And if he gets that hypercharge, it's pretty much an automatic 1 or 2 kills.
You know what? I would say, and just hear me out, I'd say Clancy and a Kenji, they're going to go for Stu, but I feel like Kenji's just going to try to keep coming in against you as a team. Clancy is going to get a free level 3 at that point. I don't know, but they go for Stu instead. And that's me as a Diamond 3 player who doesn't play ranked. So
Well, now that I've hit Masters 2, I guess I have a little bit more authority to speak on this, but I don't think Clancy would have been that bad. I mean, he did get banned in set number 2, so that proves that at least the pro players are considering him as a meta brawler. I think the Stu is a little bit safer. Obviously, these players are going to be pretty good on Stu. Expecting Patchy, no, it looks like it's going to be Evex on the Stu instead. But we're going into set number 3, guys, tied up at 1-1. This is going to be low-key a must-win for Elevate, as they are sitting pretty low on the leaderboards right now. But we see Luffy trying to get towards that Kenji hypercharge already, targeting Vegeta as of right now. And we see that L-shaped wall I was talking about earlier already being a problem for Elevate.
Indeed. Luffy can be taken out. That's great for Elevate right now, but he already got 2 hits towards his super and hypercharge, so that's already a big deal for Tribe Gaming. So not the best start, all things considered, for Elevate, as they are behind here, and the Tribe Gaming lead ever takes on. Patchy gets taken out. That's going to be huge. FX is trying to get his way onto the point just to get a little bit more points here to make it more competitive for both the teams. And it is a very close game. Only 5 to 6% differentiate these 2 teams.
Yep, Luffy's going to be continuing to go in, trying to charge that super up. He gets that super, no hypercharge to speak of as of right now. And we do see Patchy has a bunch of bell traps onto the zone as well. So we're going to have bow mines, we're going to have bell traps on the zone. There's going to be a lot of obstacles for these teams if they do want to collect that precious zone percentage. Luffy is going to eat a couple of traps right there and go down. And Evex is kind of getting wiggly up there. He's going to be able to kind of take out RBM very easily right there. Patchy gets that hypercharge online, and that's going to be Luffy going down very shortly. We see Vegeta has his Amber Hyper as well, and he lets that rip onto RBM. It looks like Elevate is going to be taking a pretty healthy lead now.
I don't know if I agree with that solo pyromancy, because you would want to get multiple value as a hypercharge there, but he goes for it nonetheless. It is a pretty comfortable lead for Elevate. 50% here, super coming in from Luffy, but he's nowhere close to hypercharge just yet. They have managed to dispatch Vegeta from the point, but only 12% is required from Elevate. And here, hypercharge coming in from FX. He's just trying to get back on the point, using all the gas heal that he can. Gets 1 kill, tries to find another one on a Zeus, and they get the complete team wipe. Tribe is in shambles here, as Elevate are now on match point.
That was insane from Evex, man. He went absolutely crazy with that Stu hypercharge, just tanked right through the Griff cards right there, and just was able to clear so much space for his team to get the finishing 10% onto the zone. Absolutely amazing job clearing out room for his teammates right there. Now we see Elevate on match point. Tribe Gaming up against a wall that they have not been up against very often this season. So it's very curious to see how they bounce back right here. Are we going to get double match point, or did Elevate just outdraft him here?
I don't know if Elevate completely outdrafted him, but they were able to isolate Luffy, and Luffy wasn't able to get that value. We're going to go to game number 2 in this third set here. Tribe Gaming facing the barrel of a gun as Elevate are already on match point. Kill onto Zeus is going to be making it even worse as they add insult to injury. RBM might be the next to go down. He's close to getting a super, but there are shots being connected by Evex. Luffy finally takes down Evex, but Evex has done his job, and Luffy going down is going to make it even better for Elevate as they are now up 14 to 15%.
Things are looking fantastic for Elevate. It's definitely their game to lose at this point. We see Luffy is going to be moving back up the left side, trying to get back to this L-shaped wall and start charging his super and hypers, but he's just been pinched out so effectively by Elevate so far. He is going to get that kill onto Vegeta right there, so that's going to be pretty important as far as their zone control goes. They have the bow mines covering the front of it as well, but Evex is going to be able to use his Stu dashes to get through that, and we see Vegeta trying to clean up right there. Patchy pops the hyper, but falls to Zeus's mine. That's going to be devastating for Elevate.
That was huge for Elevate in that situation. They were probably going to get the advantage, but that kill was so important and so opportune here for the side of Tribe Gaming. Now FX and Vegeta trying to find the kill on Luffy. Luffy goes for a super, manages to connect it on Apache, gets taken out himself. Now the lead is going to be actually for Tribe Gaming, but lead change is now back to Elevate. So they have managed to get back control of this game, and it's still looking quite testy because Tribe Gaming can win this in a comeback here, though Zeus has been marked up, and FX on the right-hand side, keeping both RBM and Kaisa's dog very low. Hypercharged mines are going to be placed down, but they are able to dispatch two, and Luffy goes down as well.
They needed a little bit more from that push there. I don't know if there's going to be enough time, but Patchy falling there is certainly not going to help Elevate's case. They're going to have to fall off the zone with only 5% remaining, but EVX has his hypercharge. The Amber Hyper is online as well, and that's going to be 2%. The squad wipe is online, and that is going to be Elevate defeating Tribe Gaming for the first time in GKR. We're going to see Tribe fall.
Yes, and it is also the first defeat for Tribe Gaming in NA. And I gotta say, Unk still definitely got it. Unk definitely got it. Congratulations.
From one Unk to another. Congratulations, Patchy, man.
Gotta say, Tribe Gaming, great stuff from them, but Elevate are just looking so strong right now. Great drafts, great mechanics, and team play all around. They were able to isolate Luffy in that last set. Kenji was the most dominant brawler for them to go after, and they were able to do exactly that. And Elevate have shown us today that gods, they do bleed.
It's exactly what I was thinking as well, Pan. That was an amazing game. And as we said earlier, Elevate needed that because they were sitting at 1-2 before this. Moving up to 2-2 gives them a real chance to make a playoff push as we move through the later days of our GKR group stage. So fantastic work by Elevate. This is a win that they needed, and they got it. Tribe Gaming obviously still in playoff position as they take their first loss, but it can't feel good to lose to your regional rival.
Yeah, that is true. And honestly, it's kind of crazy how slowly this squad has been developing into the proper Elevate squad that we have in the GKR. The first match day, we just had one member of Elevate, and then we had one more addition, and now we have the Brawl Cup squad for Elevate participating. And, you know, there is just something about the EVX pickup here which did them wonders, and now it's looking very, very questionable if Tribe Gaming are going to be as dominant in the region as they have been. Though I think that it might be a little bit premature because this is just their first loss here. But all things considered, Elevate, great job today. You're going to be quite happy with this going into the monthly finals. So, you know, you should rest up and show us what you got in the monthly finals then.
Exactly. As a fan of competitive parity, I think this is fantastic for the region. I hope that we'll get to see some more Elevate versus Tribe bangers in the future, but that's all we've got for game number 1, guys. We're going to be moving into game number 2 soon, which is Mori Gaming versus Moto Mommies, but we're going to take a quick 2-minute break before that.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to GKR at 8. 2025, we are in the group stage. Half of the competition for the group stage has finished. We are matching number 4, and we finished one banger match, which I feel like a lot of people didn't expect the result that they got. 2-1. Elevate decided that they wanted to go completely goblet opponent on Tribe Game, which is kind of crazy. The first one was a free win, which went to Code OG, as the real ones did forfeit. All things considered, though, we still have a lot of good matches for you. Next up on the docket is going to be Mori Gaming versus Moto Mommies, and Moto Mommies have struggled on the first day. They lost to Crumbs, but have since won every other fixture, though I won't mention one of them being a forfeit win against Stamina. Oops. While Mori Gaming is acclimatizing to the demands of high-tier clashes, Moto Mommies seem to be going from strength to strength, especially since they won in a cool 2-0 against Mori Gaming in Day 3. The underdogs here, Mori Gaming, have their work cut out for them, facing the behemoths of Diego Gamer, who is actually a member of the Elevate squad, Rafiki, and Sim, and a win here is now more important than ever before.
Absolutely. Mori Gaming is sitting at 1-2, so they have not gone winless, but they are still barely hanging on to playoff positioning right here. But a win today would be absolutely massive for their confidence going forward. Getting up to 2-2 would be fantastic for them. Moto Mommies, on the other hand, looking to up to 3-1, which would I don't want to say cement them into the top 8, but it definitely gives them a pretty solid chance right there. So lots to play for between these two teams. A little bit lesser known than the two teams that we just saw, but still a ton of great players littered across both of these rosters. I'm sure that they're going to give us a show.
Indeed. It's going to be quite exciting to see what's going on. It is going to be day number 4, and the way GKR works for people who are uninitiated to the way GKR works is that each of the match days are going to have a different game mode, and this is match day number 4, so we're going to have Hot Zone on the docket, and every single team is going to be participating in the same 3 maps on each of the match days. So the maps today are going to be Dueling Beetles, Open Business, and Ring of Fire, and we saw a beautiful 3-set display like in the last fixture, but now we have more gaming, more Mommies, so it is going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. Melu is not going to be playing. It's going to be Z taking up that spot, but Diego Gamer, Rafiki, and Sam, I feel like they definitely are players of more repute, but at the same time, that doesn't matter in third-party tournaments. You still have to come up and you still have to show. People might know who you are, but you know that's not going to get you those wins. So Monomami's FA, they still need their wins here because they want to make it to the playoffs.
Definitely, and losing to Mori Gaming would definitely not be good for their egos as well. Obviously, Mori Gaming has got some fantastic players, but not a team that people are expecting to be as dominant in a third-party tournament such as GKR here. I still believe in those players. I think that they're fantastic, but it's definitely not going to be a cakewalk for Moto Mommies, although they are the favorites today. So hopefully they'll be ready to play. Maybe they took some notes from the drafts that we saw Elevate pull out in the first match of the day, but I'm expecting a lot from these two teams. Hopefully we'll get to see some banger drafts.
Yep, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing some of these drafts here. I know that Moto Mommies play very aggressively, like Diego, Rafiki, Sam, all very aggressive brawlers. I believe that they love running into a lot of the opponents, but let's see how it does play out here. I feel like Dueling Beetles might be more of their wheelhouse, Open Business as well, but I mean, it is, the odds are very stacked against Mori Gaming right now, so they do have to pull up themselves by their bootstraps right now. Otherwise it's gonna be a bit too late for them, as they are down 1-2 in terms of their win-loss in this GKR group stage here, and they're in 7th, so I mean they're in 8th, so they are still in the top 8 teams, which means that they get to go to the playoffs. But you know, you still don't want to be at the bottom rung, right? You still don't want to be debating whether you're going to be making it to the playoffs, so they need this win.
Yeah, definitely. 3 days, 3 full match days is a lot of time too. So if you are sitting at the bottom of the leaderboard, you can climb back up, and that same thing can be said if you're at the top. There's a lot of time to fall down. So we're going to have to see how these teams respond to the pressure today. Like we were saying earlier, Moto Mommies is a very aggressive team. Kind of just all the players' playstyles fall into the more cagier maps. So I think that Dueling Beetles and Open Business, we could see a lot of very aggressive comps coming through. Maybe a little bit of double tank, maybe a little bit of tank healer combos there. So I think that we're going to see a lot of rundown especially in Dueling Beetles. I think it's one of the more tankier hot zone maps that's in the rotation here. So expecting a lot of that action coming from this team.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the teams to get into lobbies, get our draft underway, and Let's see how this one does play out as we do go into our draft. Lumi, Barry, Kenji being banned out along with Finks, Lumi, and Kenji. So double Lumi, double Kenji ban opens up two extra brawlers here to be played. B is going to be coming out first for Motomamis, and let's see what Mori Gaming decide to opt for. And they opt for Gray. We haven't seen Gray in at least NA for a little bit, at least in the last few match days. So it's nice to see him coming back here and getting the, I guess, the recognition it deserves in this region. And Bo is going to be the pickup for Mori Gaming as their second one.
I'm happy to see the Gray because I've been yapping about him all day. This is finally justifying my takes there. I'm a little surprised to see him not paired up with a tank, though. I guess they're assuming that they can get that later in the draft, which they will have their chance to now. We see Motomamis is going to be B, Griff, and Hank. So that's going to be a good combination of anti-tank and tank. It is a little bit crazy that we saw two of the same brawlers banned out as we see the Amber come through, and we are already into our game right now. Number one, we're going to see Z take that first kill. Sunny's going to get a kill on the left side as well. So lots of kills dropping on the side of Mori Gaming right here. They've got their bow mine set up exactly where they want them as well. This has been a pretty perfect start for Mori.
Beautiful stuff from Mori Gaming, and Diego Gamer gets taken out here. So that's going to add insult to injury, but that just means that he's going to be even closer to the super as he goes in, teleports, takes down Sam as well. So great teleporter location for them, but I feel like nobody here really can abuse that as much, so I might be wrong.
It is definitely a little bit out of the way for them, and Z is going to be falling shortly after that. Sunny's doing all he can with some amazing jukes right there. He's already got his Amber Hypercharge online as well. He's going to be letting that onto the field right there. That's going to be Diego and Sam falling. That Amber Hyper is just a double kill machine right there. That's going to be Mori Gaming taking complete control of the zone. Their lead is extending to above 50% now.
Indeed, and it just looks like it all hinges on, say, Sam and Rafiki. Otherwise, it's going to be game over for Motomamis as they are down 60%. Diego Gamer goes down. Pop, the Hypercharge has been popped by Sam, but he is very, very low. Rafiki falls as well, and Mori Gaming looking quite indomitable. Dio going in, he tries to pop his Hypercharge, gets a little bit of value with it, but not all that much, and it's just 30% left for Mori Gaming to claim game number one.
That's going to be a pretty free win for Mori in game one. Something that I was surprised to see is the amount of value the bow mines actually got. You don't see them connecting too much in competitive play, but Diego is actually landing a bunch of those, or landing on top of a bunch of those bow mines. So we got to see a little bit more bow value than we're typically used to, but it seems like that pick is going to be paying dividends so far. I think that the Amber pick was fantastic as well with the last pick of the draft, but we just saw once that Hypercharge came online, it was low-key over. But we're getting into game number two now. Mori Gaming with a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, Sunny did a really great job addressing Diego Gamer and also with his oil slicks as well, but a much better start coming in from Motomamis. They have Diego Gamer hugging the wall. It's going to make it harder for both Alex and Z to get back on the point, and the clock just keeps ticking upwards for Motomamis.
Yep, we're going to see Diego is going to be trying to hold down this position. He does get a kill onto Alex, but he's lit on fire by Sunny, so likely going to be falling right here. Indeed, he does. Z is going to be slowed, but he gets away from that situation, although he does miss his gadget. So a little bit of good, a little bit of bad coming out from Z right there. Alex has his mines ready to go, and he's going to throw them onto the top of the zone. So that's going to try and dissuade Diego from going in right now, but he's just got that big bubble trying to go in on Sunny, but he will be lit on fire once again, Pin.
Yeah, Z's just using these teleporters just to confirm kills rather than to get back onto the point. I feel like it makes a little bit more sense because if you try to use the teleporters to get back on the point, you're probably going to be facing the Hank, so you probably don't want that to happen. Sam gets one kill onto Alex, and that's going to be huge as now Motomamis are able to come back into the game. There is a big Hypercharge. Ooh, it connects to two people. Rafiki is also going to be put on fire, but he might survive. No, the shot from Alex, just one projectile was all they needed to get that kill. And just like that, Mori Gaming have reclaimed control of this mid.
The Amber Hypercharge is carrying them to the highest degree right now, but they are trying to take back this lead into their favor right now. Diego is going to be going in with the Hypercharge. He's onto him, but he's not going to be able to blast through that Hank shield right there. We see Sunny fall as well, and only 15% remaining on the zone for Motomamis. That is likely going to be game over. That's going to be a 1-1 tie in set number one. We're going to have to go to game three for this one.
Yeah, beautiful response coming in from Motomamis. We saw them getting completely outclassed in game number one. We also saw the Hypercharge from the Amber getting double value both the times from the other team here, which is Mori Gaming. So unfortunately for them, that didn't pan out. Maybe in this game number three, we might get the result that we actually require and need in this situation. We're going to go into game number three here. It's a dead heat.
Yep, we're going to see the Gray versus the Griff matchup in the middle. Z's going to be working towards that first teleport. He does miss that gadget, though, which is going to be a little bit unfortunate for him. Going to take him a little while longer to charge that first teleporter. Sunny's doing what he can as far as damage here, but Z is going to help him out with that kill, and it's going to be a trade. So we still see the time ticking up for Motomami's. Not really going to be much good to speak of for More Gaming, especially after Alex falls to Sam right there.
Yeah, and we see a much more opportune super being placed down, portals being placed down by Z, understanding that that might just be the requirement that they need. But right now, Motomamis are completely outclassing Mori Gaming. Diego going all the way to the back lines this spawn to get a kill as Rafiki adds insult to injury, and Sunny is going to be taken out of the equation once more.
This is as much of a spawn trap as you're going to see in competitive play. Diego is absolutely terrorizing them up there with the Hank super as well, and Z is running for his life. But there is no escape. Diego is on an absolute tear right here. I mean, they're trying to get back into the zone, but Mori is down by 70%. This might be too little too late.
That was crazy. Lots of shots being peppered by Sam, but that's just going to keep them at bay a little bit. Diego goes down, and control is going to be rested on the side of Mori Gaming with the Rafiki trying to get onto the point. Yes, taken out, but has managed to address one of the opponents from from Mori Gaming. So that's still going to be great for the side of Motomami's, as there is going to be a huge super, connects onto two people with that hypercharge. Diego going to be pretty low, gets taken out. Rafiki is also low, and he is removed from the equation as well. So great hyper coming in from Sunny, and we see the value that brings to the table. But 50%, Motomami's still on top.
Things definitely still look good for Motomami's, but this last 10% is as difficult as it's going to be. They have not been able to get back into the zone very easily at all, and there's still a bunch of bow mines sitting on the left side. One of them connects onto Sam, and we might be seeing an insane comeback right now. Diego has his hypercharge, he has his super, and he still falls after that. Rafiki's going to get double stunned as well, and another hypercharge is online from Sunny. He's going absolutely crazy here, just needs to outlast Sam, and he does. The lead is ticking down below 10%. They've got to kill Diego here, though, with about... I got 99%.
It's so close. Oh, you hate to see this. You hate to see this, but Motomami is managing to just hold on to get that first set. Oh my God, I don't want to be more gaming in this situation. I'm sure that this is going to affect their mentality going to the second set. That was crazy, Duncan.
I mean, they've got to be happy that they at least made that game close. It was like 70 to like 7%, if I'm not mistaken, but once they hit that 90% mark, they just could not get back onto the zone. Dueling Beetles is such a spawn trappy map. We saw Diego do it to Mori Gaming, and then we saw Mori Gaming do it to Motomami's the second half. They were still able to get that W on the side of Motomami's, though, so well-earned W. I'm sure both teams are stressing after that one, probably biting their nails as low as they can go, but crazy first game, expecting more of the same in set 2.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, like, I love the way both the teams played, but the major reason why I understood why Motomami's lost the first game, and it's very dumb to say, is just the deaths, right? There were so many situations where they made unforced errors, like walking onto a mine, not bush checking properly, getting into pinches which they didn't need to get into, which cost them the victory in the first game. In the second game, it was just them addressing all of those mistakes. In the third one, it felt like, you know, they had completely everything under control till Mori got that first hypercharge, and then he got that second hypercharge. And I feel like Sunny was going kind of absolutely insane against this side, but, you know, unfortunately it didn't pan out for them. And I might be sounding biased for Mori Gaming, but I always kind of like the underdogs.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard not to get excited about a game like that. Sunny with the last pick, Amber just went absolutely crazy there, put on a clinic. It's definitely going to make me more likely to try out Amber next time I get Dueling Beetles in the rotation, but crazy first game. I like to see all those new hypercharges utilized as well. We saw the Grip hyper do numbers, and then we saw the Amber hyper do numbers on more than one occasion, so maybe we'll see those brawlers come back into the fold on open business, but both of these teams have clearly got their work cut out for him. I think this is a more even match than people might think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's certainly seeming to be the case. Like, on paper, it seems like it's going to be a Motomami's a pretty comfortable victory for them, right? Like a 2-1 or maybe even a 2-0 with like a few losses here and there. But it's turning out to be a very close and nail-biting finish. And I think this is bolstering my confidence in the region. That means that, you know, you can't go with your established teams all the time. You Still have people, the ragtag ruffians coming in, and we're gonna go into our draft right now. We have Lumi, Barry, Ollie, Juju, J Young, and Stu being banned out. First pick from Motomami's Kenji, and I don't think you can go wrong with Kenji on a map like this. There are so many walls that Kenji can just dash in, get that slash, dash out repeatedly. So I like this pick from Motomami's, and Mori opting for the Griff in response.
Yeah, it's hard not to justify a Kenji first pick in this current meta. Obviously, he will be getting that balance change soon, but as of right now, still the most broken brawler in the game. Griff is going to be a fantastic answer to that, though. Obviously, you want a little bit of anti-tank action, and if Kenji's going in trying to feed his hypercharge, the Griff is just going to be feeding his hypercharge on the other end. So a little bit of give and take there. They take a Finks as well, though, so they have two good anti-tanks that are both pretty solid for just sitting on the zone and milking that zone time as well. So I like the comp from Mori Gaming. Motomami's is not going to be letting the Amber fall back into Sunny's hands, so it makes a good amount of sense there. Got a little bit of a range advantage onto the Griff and the Finks, so I like what Motomami's is going for as they add the B to their comp as well.
They have a little bit of all-out damage with the Griff. They have a little bit more control with the Finks, but I still think that they pale in comparison to the damage output that can be brought out by Motomami's, and they offer the Hank. I don't think you can go really wrong with the Hank, though it's going to be a little difficult for Hank to operate because it is going to be facing off against a B and an Amber. And, you know, obviously the feeding the Kenji is a little bit of a concern, but at the same time, Hank also, every time he gets hit, gets his super up because of that tank trait. So I don't know which side is going to win this in terms of draft, but what do you think, Duncan?
I am also not positive. I think it kind of does come down to the Kenji. If the Griff and Finks are able to counter out the Kenji significantly, then I think that Mori probably will have the advantage. But the thing is that B is going to have good matchups into all three of these brawlers. So although she might not be able to get as much zone time, she should still be able to get a lot of damage and kills. But we are into set number 2, guys, on open business. We're going to see some action going down already. Z is going to be the first to fall, but Rafiki follows shortly after. We see Alex trying to flank up here with that big bubble onto Sam and Diego. They're both going to be falling over to the left side, and that's going to be zone control for Mori.
Indeed. Ooh, Alex going on a tear. He gets a kill on the Sam, but he gets taken out by Rafiki as well. Rafiki, if you've noticed, he's already got 2 supers down, right? So he's going to be close to his third one, which means that his hypercharge super, we can probably expect it in another 30 to 40 seconds. There is a kill onto Z. That's going to be huge. Hypercharge being popped by Alex, and he goes for the kill onto Rafiki. Not able to do so, but he feeds Rafiki the ever scary hypercharge, and I'm not that happy for Mori Gaming now.
This has got to be bad news if you're Mori Gaming. Rafiki is likely going to be going up here, getting that hypercharge off soon. Probably doesn't want to go for Alex since he's the only one with a little bit of a defense mechanism. He's just going to be targeting Sunny right there. That's going to be a free kill for him.
Wow.
And they're going to be able to take out Alex as well. That is going to be a squad wipe for the side of Motomami's. They're going to have the zone tick back into their favor, but it's just going to be a pretty close game still.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. And in this situation, Rafiki doesn't really need to be all that aggressive because his teammates have picked up the slack. They've kept all the brawlers at bay, so they can basically have Rafiki being a reactionary counter to Alex rather than being forced to be the fulcrum of the composition. So great stuff coming from Motomami. Hypercharge being popped by Sam, gets a kill on his Sunny. He finds the one onto Alex as well, but that is going to be basically game for Motomami's. I don't really expect Mori to come back here. They have no way forward.
I think I agree with you there. Once Motomami's gets control of the zone, we saw how difficult it is to push into Sam on the B right there. He was holding down the zone extremely well. It's obviously hard for a sniper to kind of run into the zone on his own, but once he has the zone already and he can kind of just tee off on those opponents walking into his face, it's going to be pretty free, and that's exactly what we saw in game number 1. Motomami's is moving on to match point.
Yeah, it just seemed like at the end, the hypercharge from the Amber was just adding a little bit, you know, of the toppings to a pizza. It was just adding a little bit more pepperoni or whatever. Yeah. It was a bit demoralizing for Mori. We're going to game number 2 here of the second set. Motomami's on match point. One more win away from winning the entire thing here. So they're definitely going to be looking for that. But at the meantime, Alex has been feeding Rafiki. There is a kill onto Alex and also Z. Complete team wipe. Motomami's are already in such a domineering position, and it just doesn't seem like Mori Gaming are going to be able to come back in this one.
Yeah, really bad start for Mori Gaming. I think that they probably should have switched up their lanes. In my opinion, I think that Rafiki is getting a little bit too much value off of Alex here. He's got to be close to a hypercharge already as he cleans up Alex once again. That's going to be Z falling right here too, and the zone is already above 50%. No percentages to speak of for the side of Mori, and Rafiki is letting them hear all of that. very tough one to come back from. But we saw Mori come back from a similar situation earlier. This one's looking a little bit worse in my opinion, though.
That is kind of crazy. Hypercharge is there by Rafiki. Pops the purple button. Not. I don't think
disrespectful, man. Disrespectful.
Wow, that was painful. That was just painful.
Yeah, that's going to be 100-0. Moto Mommies is going to take care of business on open business. That is going to be a 2-0 sweep for the side of Moto Mommies as they move up to 3-1 on the GKR leaderboard. Mori Gaming, after a banger set number 1, what is this angle, is unfortunately going to fall to 1-3, so it might be out of playoff contention, playoff picture for now, but they are still in playoff contention if they're able to lock in for the last 2 match days. So GG's to both teams. Congrats to Moto Mommies on a victory here.
Yeah, beautiful stuff in that second set for Moto Mommies. Though I have to mention that Mori Gaming is looking much better, especially in the first set. They had a pretty good draft, a pretty even draft, but they played it really low. But I would say it's more dependent on how badly Moto Mommies played in the first set. In the second set, it was just completely the Moto Mommies show, and Mori Gaming were just caught sleeping. So unfortunate for them. They're going to be taking the L here. Moto Mommies take the W, and that's going to cement Moto Mommies' position at the mid rung of the leaderboard, whereas Mori Gaming now are fighting for their lives at the bottom.
Absolutely fighting for their lives, but I believe in that team. I think that they'll be able to bounce back as we move into day 5 coming up next week. But Moto Mommies is looking like they could be potentially a top 4 team in NA if they keep playing like this. So excited to see what they've got coming forward in the future. And I'm excited for our game number 3, which is going to be coming up soon. It's going to be Crumbs versus STMN.
Yeah, and it is going to be interesting. There are some interesting storylines about Unks and Ball people. So we'll see you in 3 minutes to discuss those.
Yes, sir.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the GKR 2025 NA Brawl Stars Circuit. I am your host, PandaCast, Code Pan, joined by the amazing Duncan. Make sure to use Code Pan in the shop if you're buying anything in any of the Supercell games, and this is like a shameless plug, and I am shameless. I don't care. Just spend your money. Give it to me. I want all your money, so make sure you do that. I'm so sorry, chat. But yeah, Duncan, we've had some great matches today. How are you looking for the next matches, which is going to be Crumbs versus STMN?
I'm fired up about it, man. Crumbs has been one of our probably our most surprising team throughout our first 3 days of play. They're sitting at 2-1, which is something that not a lot of people expected, but Banny, Ormi, and Zemp have been taking the scene by storm here throughout our first 3 days of GKR. They are definitely a team to keep your eye on if you haven't been that tapped into NA Esports. But STMN, on the other hand, has a roster change active this week. We're going to see a fan favorite, Juan Carlos, joining the team, replacing Steel for now. So it's going to be Juan, Payne, and Tacos. This new STMN roster, I think, has a lot of potential. So we're going to see 2 teams with a lot of hype behind them that has been building in the recent past. Excited to see which one's going to come out on top.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just looking at this, we have the greatest uncle of all time, Zemp, and he's been on a generational run this past month. He's beating Moto Mommies in the GKR, and his team beat Space Station Gaming in the monthly qualifiers. Not to mention that he's actually made his first ever monthly finals, and this is without Nathan, Banny, or Ormi, so that is crazy. I mean, I don't know who else is in UIs, but I know that Banny isn't there, so I'm sorry about that. Anyway, despite all of that, Zemp and Ball Petty Glaze, they are up against a very strong Stamina side who has now swapped out Steel for Juan Carlos in their lineup for the GKR as well as the BSC. So while the stonks are right now are super high for Crumbs, will they be cleared out by Stamina, or will the inclusion of Falcon for Nathan further bolster Crumbs in their matchups here in the GKR?
I don't know. We'll have to see. I've definitely been enjoying the Crumbs Glaze going on in the chat throughout the first couple of days of GKR. It's hard not to participate in it, even as a neutral caster, just kind of sitting on the sidelines here. But both of these teams are pretty fun to watch. We do have a little bit of a leaderboard disparity, though. Crumbs is 2-1, STMN is 1-2, so stakes might be a little bit higher for the side of Stamina. But obviously Crumbs is going to be looking to try and solidify their spot in the playoffs, which is honestly a spot where not many people expected them. So a lot to play for as far as ranking goes today.
Yep. Stamina are not in the best spot in terms of the GKR positioning. Crumbs are definitely in a better one. They want to cement themselves in the top 8, and you want to get to the playoffs where all the money is going to be on the line. It's a $5,000 tournament, so you definitely want to get all of that green. And going through these matches, getting those dubs, and hoping that your opponents lose is definitely a strategy, which has been working out for Crumbs. I mean, all of the memeing aside, I would say that Zemp by himself has very good fundamentals as a drafter, and a lot of the teams that he's been a part of, he's been running the drafts for their team. So it's no surprise, or it's no mistake that they are as effective as they are. I feel a lot of people discount how good this team actually is just because of all the memes that we see, right? So I think that a lot more people need to take them more seriously going forward, especially in the esports side of things, but specifically Zemp here. At least maybe I'm overrating him, but that's how I see it.
Hey, I'm with you right there, man. Maybe it's just because Zemp always likes my tweets, and I appreciate him for that. But I'm a big Zemp fan as well. I think that he's a fantastic player, and he's definitely made a name for himself throughout the first half of the esports season. But excited to see what both of these teams are going to be able to do in the NA monthly finals, which are going to be coming up pretty soon here. But New Heights Gaming, which is Zemp's team, is a first-time qualifier, and they're going to be facing up against Tribe Gaming in round 1. So that's going to be a true David versus Goliath story. Maybe we'll see an absolute crazy upset right there. I mean, Tribe did lose to Elevate, so seems like they're not untouchable anymore, Finn.
Yeah, no, I mean, once you start chipping away at a team which is supposedly indomitable, it's supposedly impossible to beat, you're going to see a lot more other teams being like, hey, maybe we can also do it because Elevate's done it too, right? So you're going to see a lot more confidence. A lot of the times in a circuit, teams have a defeatist attitude when it comes to the strongest team in the region. When they go up against that team, a lot of teams just kind of buckle under the pressure because of just the aura alone. So, a little bit of that aura being removed from the equation might make Tribe a little bit more susceptible, but that's just, I guess, wishful thinking if you want like a more competitive NA. And I am always hoping that we get more competitive NA going forwards, but right now we are going to get a more competitive STMN. Juan Carlos, despite the 0-11 kit meme, is a very good player. He's made it to multiple world finals, so he's not got there just because he was quote unquote carried and because he's a ladder player. He does have the ability to get the job done, and that's why he's in stamina right now.
Yep, definitely going to be bringing some much needed experience to the stamina roster. I think that they could be one of the teams to watch going forward. I think that Juan does give them a little bit more of an edge than they had in the past. No disrespect to Steel, fantastic player as well, but everybody knows and loves Juan. He's a fantastic player, so I think that he'll bring an energy boost to this team. And like you were talking about with the aura, I think that aura is a real metric. I think aura has a real effect on these games, so maybe the Juan Carlos aura is going to be what STMN needs to push them over the top.
Yeah, one Kitlos, but Dueling Beetles, Open Business, and Ring of Fire. So for people who are uninitiated, and I see this quite often in the chat, a lot of people ask, why do we have only one specific mode? So the way GKR operates is that each of the match days you have a different game mode and 3 different maps, which all of the teams do participate in. It gives you different ideas of how teams decide to draft against each other, what are teams' pet favorites when it comes to their drafts, how they react to the drafts. Are they more reactionary? Do they hold true to their strategies going into the draft as well, or are they able to adapt on the fly? And I don't really see that for both of these teams that we're seeing right now, but hopefully in the future we get a little bit more adaptability. Though that being said, Crumbs, I'm going to be quite interested in seeing how they play against the Stamina Esports side.
Yeah, I think that we probably will see a lot of aggression coming through on Dueling Beetles like we have seen in the past. Maybe a little bit more Barry Hank action. I feel like Hank is kind of just a guaranteed lock to be banned or picked in all of these maps here today, honestly. But we also saw Amber doing numbers in the last set, so maybe we'll get a little bit more Amber as well. I mean, the amount of hypercharges that Sunny was able to cycle is actually something I may have never seen in the game before, especially at a competitive level when players are usually better about not feeding. So maybe we'll see Amber, maybe we'll get that Gray again, but I'm expecting a lot out of Dueling Beetles. Should be a banger.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, the map is very cagey. We mentioned this before. Lots of unbreakable walls, the grass, etc. And it's going to come down to how these teams draft. There are different strategies involved, obviously. One of them being very heavy into Barry. But we're going to go into our draft, and we have... I love it. Zemp's hat. he just printed out Crumbs. No, he actually wrote Crumbs on a piece of paper. He just slapped it on his hat. Beautiful stuff. Juan Carlos doing his morning routine because he probably just got up. It's what, 4 p.m. Sounds about right. Payne is just about to fall asleep like he always does. Tacos, I'm not even sure what he's doing. Ormy's just Ormy's still being worthy. And we have Ball Banny on the left hand side. So already love this. I'm so distracted. I can't even talk about the draft. Go down.
These player cams are giving us a lot of ammunition casting here, Pan, but we do have our bans in. We got Hank, Kenji, Lumi, Ollie, Barley, and Gray. So a lot of the strongest brawlers in the game banned out by Crumbs, and then some of the more situational brawlers banned by STMN. We see the Finks come out with the first pick, though. One of the pro players' more reliable anti-tank options. He's pretty versatile, so, and also the fact that it's a hot zone map means that he can kind of just throw his super onto the zone. His team and himself are going to be able to dodge all those shots, and they're going to be able to connect a lot more consistently. So the Finks makes sense. Crumbs is going to take the Berry, which is a brawler that we've seen first picked on Dueling Beetles pretty fair share of times. Definitely the best healer for a map like this,
Barney.
especially with paired up with the tank. And it looks like they're going to be going with the B instead.
I just realized that his name is Barney and not Banny here on the overlay, so that's pretty funny. Barney the Bear. And the next pick is going to be for the side of Stamina. Like, we already have a pretty decent composition. There is Berry for Crumbs along with a B, so you have the healing, you have the long range as well. Finks is going to be a pretty decent option all around for controlling how this game goes, especially once he gets his super. It's not that easy to get his super. It's mildly challenging, but we are going to have Juju coming out for Stamina. I think Juju is one of the better throwers, especially on a map like this because of the grass. She's going to be able to hit you on the other side if you're trying to hide in the grass. So I like this pick from Stamina.
Yeah, definitely is a pretty solid pick, especially, I mean, the only reason that you wouldn't want to Juju, you're scared of just getting run down by tanks, and obviously Crumbs only has one pick left. They're going to have maximum one tank on the squad, so the Juju pick is pretty impossible to defend in that situation. She's going to be able to get that value no matter what. Final pick of the draft coming through for STMN, and it looks like we might not be able to see it quite yet, but it's going to be a Meg, actually. So a little bit of an off-meta pick right there, but she does kind of fit the hot zone meta pretty well. She's got a lot of HP and survivability and a pretty good amount of DPS as well, if Crumbs is to add another tank to the comp right here.
Yeah, I normally wouldn't be that high on Meg stonks here, but because of the Berry existing in Meg's slow walking speed, but the Juju does kind of address a little bit of that vulnerability that is exposed with that Meg pick, because Berry can't get into the point where he can be as oppressive with the Meg here. But Berry now, they're going to be compensating for the Berry, complementing the Berry with the Draco instead. And I like this pick a lot. Draco has fallen off in terms of the tank selections in the meta, but it's still a really solid pick, especially when you prop it up with that Berry.
Yeah, I think it's nice that we're getting to see a little bit of a different draft coming through here. We got Meg, Juju, and Draco, all brawlers that we have not yet seen in GKR today. So fired up about the way that these drafts have gone. I think that the Draco Berry synergy is going to be pretty difficult to deal with, but Meg and Finks have a good amount of damage if they're able to line up those shots correctly. But we are going into game number 1. It is Crumbs versus STMN. We've got Crumbs in blue versus STMN in red, but Zemp is going to be going very aggressive off rip here. Tacos is going to fall out of his Meg form, but Banny is the only one left standing. That's going to be a full squad wipe. STMN's going to have a lead to start us off.
That was crazy coming in from Stamina here. Zep is going to go in with his super, but he's almost already addressed. There are some heals coming in from Benny, and it's not going to be as impactful. Taco's already with the hypercharge, is able to swipe, gets 2 kills, and is out of there. Now Ormy has to pick up the slack, but he might be the next to fall, and all of that aura that Crumbs have generated over the course of the GKR seems to be evaporating in front of her eyes.
Yeah, we're going to see the Draco Berry combination trying to get something rolling, but even after supering, Zemp is going to be quick to fall. Banny is next, and this is just, Ormy's just giving up right here. He's not even going to put up a fight against the Tacos Meg right there. This is looking like it's probably going to be game number 1 in the bag for STMN. Looks like the comp diff is a little bit too much. Maybe we were sleeping on the Meg Pan.
Yeah, I like the Meg pick, but like I said, if we took the Meg by itself, I don't think it would be as impactful. But they just did a beautiful job of just running the Meg and the entire team composition. You can see Juan Carlos just fueling up. I think he just got up. I think he literally just got up.
Yeah, he just got up, and Payne is just about to go to bed after this. So we've got a little bit of a conflicting sleep schedule on the STMN team. But either way, they are playing together like fantastically well. So great first game for STMN. I don't know if Crumbs is going to be able to bounce back with this comp that they've got, but they have to get a better start for sure.
Indeed, Zemp already in a bad spot here. Pops the gadget, gets taken out. Taco's trying to find his super, and the amount of times that you see the hypercharge coming in from Megs and a lot of the Megs games is kind of crazy. They've completely dispatched the entirety of Crumbs here, and a super is being put down by Juan Carlos, and that's going to speed up all of the projectiles, making it even harder to dodge. And the kill has been confirmed on a Taco. Zemp tries to find the kill onto Juan, gets down himself, but Benny picks up the slack. And now we see a little bit more control coming in from the side of Crumbs, though Pain is going to be using the grass to get a little bit more damage coming in, along with the Gree.
Yeah, this is definitely the most control that we've seen Crumbs have as of yet. Zemp is going a little bit crazy with the Drake there, but he does fall, and then Tacos with the infinite range Meg swipe is going to get that kill as well. So control back into the hands of STMN as their lead creeps above 50% right here. We see another Gree falling onto the field. Ormy's going to have his work cut out for him dealing with that. Zemp is going to fall as well. Tacos has been playing so aggressive on this Meg, and he's going to be able to pinch out with Juan there on Van Kui. This is looking like another STMN win unless they're able to get, unless Crumbs is able to push them off the zone really quickly.
Tacos finds one kill. He's trying to find Ormy. Almost gets him down, but not able to do so. Ormy gets a slow off on Juan Carlos. But that's not going to be enough. 4% is what stamina needs, and that's what they are going to take, because that's what it's going to happen. And they take the first set here quite comfortably. See Smiles coming in from the stamina side, and they don't look like they've been pressured at all. In fact, with this new iteration, this ensemble looks even stronger than the stamina that we used to see in the past.
Yeah, they look cool, calm, and confident as they take game number 1 away from Crumbs. Obviously, the Crumbs aura is definitely a little bit intimidating going into, but STMN is showing that they are not scared. They're going to take set number 1 on Dueling Beetles. We're going to be moving into set 2 on Open Business right here. And honestly, I'm kind of looking to see if maybe Meg comes back into the fray here. This is a map I think that she is viable on, and we just saw how much work she's able to do in the right situation. Maybe one of the more underrated hypercharges in the game. What do you think, Pan?
Honestly, after seeing what I saw today in that last game, in that last set, I'm going to rate Meg a little bit higher than I used to think. I think the ability to get your hypercharges back it's kind of crazy how fast she gets her hypercharge, right? I mean, you don't even need to use the hypercharge to get that swing, but the swing's range is also crazy insane. I feel like after you get these, the nerfs from the Kenji and even the Lumi, and maybe even like, I guess, Gray, which is going to be happening not now, but during, I would assume the update balance changes. I think that if they keep Meg as she is right now and nerf a lot of the meta brawlers, that she's already going to be catapulted into the S tier. It just seems like she's much stronger than people may consider her, because I just, maybe I'm wrong.
I think I agree. I mean, I feel like especially in the hot zone meta, she definitely has a place with the amount of HP. If you pair that with a healer, obviously it's going to make it even better. And she's got good damage. So kind of similar to Finks in that way, where you kind of just want to put her onto the middle of the map and hold down that control. But she's got even a little bit more HP than that and extra survivability, considering she doesn't die when she dies. She goes into her small form. So definitely a pretty versatile brawler. Expecting to see her a little bit more often after that performance, but we'll see how this draft unfolds as we go into Open Business.
Indeed, and Open Business is such a, I'm just going to show it to you guys. It's such a cagey map, and a lot of poking brawlers are really good in a map such as this one. We saw how good Tribe Gaming were with the Dynamite pick. I thought it was an Eagle pick, but looking back at how that played out, they just satisfied all the conditions to make it work. So it's not necessarily that you have to go for all of the S tier or A tier brawlers, though it is going to give you a better chance, but you have to look at how you ice out the other opponents, right? And then accordingly go for the picks. We're going to go into our pick and bans in Open Business. Hank, Kenji, Lumi, Lou, Gray, and Griff being banned out. So 6 distinct brawlers, and Fink's going to be the first pickup for the side of Stamina. And it did that wonders in the last set, so I think they're just going to be doubling down on that, with Barley coming out for Crumbs.
Yeah, more of the same for STMN with the Finks first pick. I think that Barley is a fantastic option here as well. I'm a little bit surprised to see him picked above Barry. Maybe they just want to mix it up from their last comp, but I think that Barry does offer a little bit more as far as heals go, but Barley obviously is going to have a bit better damage, so maybe they're expecting higher HP coming through from the side of STMN. It looks like they are going to take the Meg out of STMN's hands right here, though, so it seems like we're seeing the meta shift in front of our very eyes right now, Pam.
Yep, that is true, and it was really good. And this is what I like about the Crumb side, right? Zemp with the drafts and all that. Immediately on the fly, he's adapted some of the changes, so we might see a more competitive set. But that might be wishful thinking, as the next pick is for Stamina. First set did go the way of Stamina, even though the score doesn't reflect it.
Yeah, I guess the scoreboard's taking its sweet time here, but STMN is going to add a Juju to the Finks, and I mean, it seems like they might just be running back almost the exact same comp right here. They've got one more pick, obviously can't add the Meg since it is on the side of Crumbs already, but we haven't seen a single tank get picked yet, which is a little bit surprising to see. Obviously, Hank is banned, but there are still other options. Obviously, Draco didn't perform very well in the first set, but still a pretty decent tank to throw into the mix here, but we're going to see the Ollie get drafted instead.
Ollie, really good brawler all around, especially with the hypnosis and all of that. But do they have the amount of damage output to take out the Meg? Yes, Meg isn't as tanky as she was in the past, but I think it all hinges to what Crumbs bring out, because whatever they bring out should at least help the Meg and Barley keep their position and control. So it has to be an aggro presence to address both the Ollie or maybe even the Juju. And not sure what they've picked up here. And they go for Mortis.
That's going to be the second Mortis we've seen today, and the first one was absolute cinema, so hopefully we'll get to see more of the same coming through from Crumbs. We do see the scoreboard updated on STMN side as well, but I think that this is going to be a pretty fun game to watch. I mean, we've got the Ollie action for STMN and the Mortis action paired up with the Meg that we saw do numbers in the last set, so should be an absolute banger as we hop into the game here.
Indeed, set number 2, open business, should be underway. First set was taken by Stamina. Crumbs have to win this one to force a set number 3. It's going to be a tall order, but the second set is going to be underway right now. Ormi already getting unseated from the mech. Juan Carlos gets taken out, but at the same time, Zemp does get taken out himself. There is going to be a little bit of a tete-a-tete as Tacos gets the better of Ormi in that reaction, in that situation. Zemp going back in, finds a kill onto Tacos. That's going to be huge, but in terms of possession of the hot zone, Stamina still very much in the lead. 20% lead, in fact.
Definitely. Zemp is looking for his first bat still, but he can really only go in on Pain for that consistent kill, but Tacos is doing numbers of his own on that side. We're going to see Banny try to zone out the middle of the hot zone right here with that Barley super, but Pain finds the gap. Zemp is going to be trying to take advantage of that, but the Gree is going to counter him out before he's able to get his bats off. Things are not looking great for Crumbs as this game inches past the 50% mark for STMN. They have all 3 members alive, just kind of standing on this zone. The damage gear for Pain is doing numbers as well, and that's another Gree onto the field. This is looking horrible for Crumbs.
So Zemp has ideally only one great matchup, which is going to be Pain, right? Him going into Juan Carlos doesn't make sense at all, because this is going to be Juan Carlos, who big hypercharge from Ormi, is able to take out one, but Tacos doesn't really sweat the details, and that's going to be a very comfortable game 1 for Stamina, who are now on match point and are looking quite dominant in this new
They are looking very dominant here, man. Juan Carlos seems like he might have been the missing piece that STMN needed, but they are going to be moving on to match point right here. Have yet to even come close to dropping a game to Crumbs, who, like we've said, is a team that has performed extremely well through the first 3 days of GKR. So STMN kind of asserting dominance as we move into match point right here. We have Juan versus Ormi in the middle, and it looks like Ormi is getting the best of this matchup right now. Zemp's going to be able to clean that up as well, so likely going to be closer to his super after that first interaction than he was after the first interaction of the last game, but still goes down, and there's still not that much control on the side of Crumbs.
Yeah, I feel like Crumbs are not playing as a unit. You're seeing 3 individual efforts against a single team, and I think that is what is being a biggest problem for Crumbs. It's not just the fact that this draft may not be the best draft for them, but at the same time, the problem here is just the way that they're playing it. They've been isolated repeatedly by the squad of Stamina. At least we get 1 kill coming in from Zemp. There is a super from Tacos, gets dispatched by Ormi, who gets, he's not unseated from his mech just yet. So we see some signs of life and a flicker of hope for the side of Crumbs.
Definitely. Juan is going to be using that time stop in the middle to try to help his teammate get a little bit of action back, but Zemp is finally doing some work on the Mortis here, and he has a hypercharge, no super yet, but once he gets that super, he might be able to do a lot of work onto the opponents right now. We do see a shielded up Gregory coming into the fold, though. That's going to be very difficult for Zemp to deal with. He goes straight through Tacos, but his teammates are going to fall, and that's just going to be the zone continuing to tick up for STMN. It looks like Juan is going to be showing a little bit of BM up there. Zemp does fall before he gets his super as well.
Oh no,
and with only 10% left on the zone, this looks like it might go the way of STMN once again.
Yeah, Zemp doesn't have his hypercharge. He's going to go in and gets hypnotized, and that is going to be game, set, match. Stamina, 4 straight wins, completely destroying Crumbs, and there isn't a single Crumb left anymore.
That was the cleanest of clean sweeps that we've seen all day right there. STMN absolutely got the job done against Crumbs right there. Unfortunate to see our fan favorite fall right there, but Juan is definitely showing that he was a good signing for STMN. And, I mean, I haven't seen them lose with Juan on the roster yet, Pan.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely won this one. I'm sorry.
Oh, good, dude. We're going to have both of these teams moving to 2-2 throughout our first 4 days of GKR action. So both going to be sitting in the middle of the pack. Obviously, both teams are going to have the option to move up or down depending on how the last 2 days of GKR gameplay falls. But they're still going to be in playoff position, Crumbs is. So nothing to hang your head with. But obviously would have preferred a better outcome than what we saw today, getting clean swept by STMN.
Indeed, we've had 4 matches concluded in this match day today. We still have 2 more. It's going to be GG, formerly 919 versus LC Esports, followed by Space Station Gaming versus Pioneers, which is something that I'm really waiting with bated breath for. But we have to continue waiting for 3 to 4 more minutes as we wait for the teams to ready up for our next fixture, which is GG versus LC Esports. So we will see you then. Hello everybody and welcome back to GKR 2025. It is the NA Brawl Stars Circuit Group Phase Match Day number 4, which is only going to be a hot zone. We have GG, formerly 919 versus LC Esport NA, but just to recap what we had prior to this was Code OG giving the free win against Real Ones because of a forfeit, then Elevate versus Tribe Gaming, where Elevate won 2-1, which was very unprecedented for me, but like beautiful to see because the prowess of Elevate just keeps on increasing, so that's great. Motomamis versus Mori Gaming was up next, where Motomamis took it 2-0 against the Mori Gaming that we saw some signs of life in the first set, but completely capitulated to the pressure in the second. Then we had Stamina versus Crumbs, and you know, we've been glazing a lot, but you know, all the glaze in the world isn't going to help you in the match, unfortunately. And Juan Carlos being the pickup here really has bolstered Stamina into a very strong squad, because you look at Payne and Juan Carlos, they've been with each other in the Vector Gaming squad, which qualified for World Finals in 2022. So it's not like it's a different team. These are guys who've been playing with each other for a long time. So 2-0 there, not really surprised, all things considered. But now it's time for GG versus LC Esport. Now GG has it was 919. They have Doodle, Lukey Bear, who's coming up for them, and Nerf. So maybe with the help of Lukey Bear, they might be in a better position here. But I'm a little sidetracked. I'm your host, Panda, Code Panda the Shop, joined by Duncan Brawl Stars. How are you doing today, Dunk?
I'm doing great, man. We've had some great matches already, and I think that we're going to have some great matches coming up here, too. We've got GG, who's currently sitting at 0-3 throughout the first 3 days, trying to get a win on the board here against LLC, who is 2-1, although one of those wins did come via forfeit. So they haven't really got a chance to prove themselves maybe as much as they would have liked to, although they did start off the season by beating SSG, which is definitely an upset that not a lot of people saw coming. So LLC is going to be trying to prove that they belong near the top of the leaderboard, moving up to 3-1 if they get this W today. GG, on the other hand, just trying to prove that they belong here, trying to get any win, any positive momentum in the right direction. Maybe Lukey's going to be the signing that helps them get there.
Yeah, and just for chat, it's not pre-recorded, Galaxy Eyes. We can see chat, so don't think that it's pre-recorded. Anyway.
And I'm not forced to be here. Oh. I'm here of my own volition, chat.
Sure. Anyway, he's in my basement. But at the moment, though, GG are at the bottom of the barrel, not having won a single match or even a single set. So maybe with the addition of Lukey there, the inclusion of him might be, you know, a course correction for them. But their chances to make playoffs grow even dimmer, as they now have to have a perfect run for the rest of the tournament to even possibly stand a chance. It's reaching the realm of mathematical rather than probable, right? LC Esport,
Yeah.
on the other hand, have been sitting pretty at the middle of the ladder with 2 wins and 1 loss. And you did mention that one of the wins did come against, I believe, Space Station, or was it? No, was it Space Station?
They beat Space Station,
yeah.
and then I think that 19 forfeited last week.
Yeah, so a win here is just going to further cement their position to make it to the playoffs. So LC Esport are going to be desperate for this one. GG don't have much to lose, all things considered, considering they're at the bottom of the barrel, bottom of the leaderboard. But, you know, desperation makes for very interesting content. So maybe GG Esports are just going to make it a little bit more difficult for LC to progress onwards. And GG are just here to be a spoiled sport of sorts.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be what they're going for at this point. I mean, sitting at 0-3, it's not impossible for them if they're able to win out for the rest of the tournament, but a loss today would definitely put them in the gutter even further than they already are. So whether it's for the rankings or just for the egos, I think that they still have a good amount to play for here, and I'm hoping that they'll be able to get at least a set win under their belts just for the confidence right now. But LLC is a team that I think has been relatively slept on throughout the beginning. Obviously, they did beat SSG, which maybe fell off a little bit, but they're still some of the higher profile players in the region, so definitely nothing to shake your head at. I think that LOC is a team that could be a little bit of a surprise coming future in the second split of the season.
Yeah, I think that you're completely right. Though this Lukey Bear edition is very interesting, right? Because Lukey has been in the competitive scene for a long time. He was with IX Gaming. Sorry, he's with IX Squares right now, which I think also has Pika and Pierre. Perry Love Lukey, if I'm not mistaken. So they have been competing, though the results are not as great as they obviously want. One of the biggest things, though, is that Lukey lives in an area which doesn't have good internet, so a lot of times he does play with really bad ping. But the fact that he's able to compete at such a high level despite that is like crazy to me. He's also been in multiple squads as a coach, as a as a counselor, as a support member. Specifically, Stamina of the Past, the time when you had OG Bobby and what was it, Czar in the Stamina team. So he has been a counselor for a lot of these pro players. He's been there to pick up the slack for a lot of the different teams as well. So he is very storied if you're looking into the esports scene. So this might help GG, but I think that the odds are definitely stacked against them, against a little bit more polished LC Esports side.
Yeah, hard to disagree with that. I mean, Lukey is somebody, if you've been around Brawl Esports for as long as us have in the scene right there, but he's been in and around the sport for quite a long time. So if nothing else, he's got a lot of knowledge to bring to his roster right here. And maybe that's the type of experience that they need to get a little bit more confidence going into these games, because it does seem like they've been playing on the back foot most of the time. But I don't think that this is a matchup that they cannot win. Obviously, LS favored by a little bit, but I think that if GG is able to come out hot with a good draft, they might be able to put them just get a little bit of confidence under the belt and actually put up a pretty solid fight here.
Yep, and for people who don't know, it's Bastion number 4, as I keep saying for each of the fixtures, because some people just keep on coming in whenever. Dueling Beetles, Open Business, and Ring of Fire are the maps. The mode for today is going to be Hot Zone, so we've seen the other teams participate in all of these 3 maps. Obviously, Ring of Fire is only going to be played in the event that both teams manage to claim a set, so it might go down the wire. And let's see how this one does play out. Dueling Beetles, a map which has a lot of walls. You have a lot more skirmishes. We've seen varying degrees of success with different compositions in mind, especially if you bring out the Mortis, right? One team did flawlessly with the Mortis, the other team completely fell by the wayside. We're gonna go into our draft on Dueling Beetles. We have Bo, Barry, Gus, Hank, Lumi, and Kenji being banned out. 6 different brawlers here.
Yeah, I think that it's about time that we see 6 different brawlers banned. We've seen a lot of double Lumi, a lot of double Kenji, and we've also seen a lot of Finks with the first pick right here. So once again, I think this is the 4th or 5th set that we've seen Finks come off the board first. It is a pretty solid pick. Obviously, he isn't getting picked first for no reason, but he's got that mid control with that super. He's got a lot of damage to be able to counter out tanks, and we see a similar pick coming out for LLC with the B. It's got a little bit more range, obviously, and a little bit less powerful of a super, but it is still good for outranging those anti-tanks. It's got a lot of damage, and it obviously is an absolute shutdown brawler.
Indeed, and we're gonna get Griff coming out next. But before we go back and talk about the draft. Duncan is very close to 10K subscribers on YouTube, so if you haven't already followed him and subscribed to him on YouTube, please do so. He's going to be doing a Mandy cosplay tomorrow on his YouTube channel, so make sure you're there for it. Okay, back to the draft here. Jaeyoung coming out next for GG. I like this Jaeyoung. It does round out the composition a little bit more, though with the Finks as well, it is a little bit interesting because they have a similar lane alignment, but different roles that they satisfy at the same time. Mr. P coming out next for GG. I honestly don't agree with this GG draft, as the last pick is there for LC Esports and A.
Yeah, Mr. P is interesting. I mean, he hasn't been picked all that much in Hot Zone for a reason, and it's because he doesn't have that much HP, but it seems like LLC is not going to be taking any aggro to try to counter that out, which is a little bit intriguing to me. I mean, with the Jaeyoung and the Mr. P, I honestly thought we might even see a Mortis come out for LLC, but it's going to be a Barley instead, going to play a little bit more control. I get why they wanted the thrower to take out those porters if that time comes where the Mr. P gets them up, but I feel like they could have capitalized a little bit harder aggro. But either way, I still like this draft for LLC a little bit better. As we go into game number 1, we're going to see Lukey manning the Mr. P in the middle of the map, but it looks like the control is going to be on the side of GG as we get started.
Indeed, actually, they're doing a pretty good job. Doodle is going to be using the speed to get into positions where he really pressures, and he's also popped the gadget. That does so much damage. I feel like eventually that's going to get a nerf for sure because of how debilitating it is to face, and Super's coming in all around. And despite what I said, despite the draft and everything, GG are doing spectacularly against LSC.
Yeah, the Jaeyoung speed is looking pretty menacing. I mean, they've had a very difficult time landing any shots onto Doodle so far. We do see control falling back into LLC's hands here, but it is a 50% deficit. Going to be a little bit difficult for them to come back from. Lukey's going to trade out in the middle there, and Doodle is going to get up a kill on Squeezy on the right side of the map as well. So we just have Rolladoo on B surviving for LLC as they regroup right here, but they have got a 50+% deficit to come back from. The Barley Super should buy them a little bit of time, but this game is GG's to lose.
Indeed, and Nerf actually getting better of Rolladoo on the left-hand side. Kirito also falling. The range from Jaeyoung is kind of crazy. It's a bit unexpected, and it feels like you can't really see the projectiles all that well because it is a little bit broken up. But all things considered, great start from GG. 99, 100% claiming game number 1 and completely outclassing their opponents. And you see the smile, the confidence coming in from Lukey Bear because he knows he's done something.
Yeah, it's got to feel good to join a team and immediately deliver them one of the wins out of GKR. If they're able to get one more win here, that would be the first set that they've taken. So got to be feeling good if you're a member of GG right here. If you're LOC, then you're probably going to be questioning that last pick Barley a little bit. Seems like it's not really addressing anything that's coming into the fold here, but we're going to be going into game number 2. It is set point for GG. We see both teams jockeying for mid position as of right now.
Indeed, and it's a pretty even game. I feel like the control, though, is contested, though a little bit more in terms of the positioning for GG. There isn't a super turret down yet, but Rolladoo gets one off on a Doodle. Doodle is very low. Might be taken out just yet, but no, manages to survive. And now LC are back onto the point here. They're going to be having mid control for the first time in this game and are looking to extend their lead by more than 10%.
Yeah, the members of GG are going to be quite weak back in the spawn right here. Doodle's trying to heal up Nerf, but not able to land any of those shots. So, going to be a little bit of a waste of time. The Barley Super is going to buy LLC a lot more time as well. We see Doodle coming through with the speed, though. It's going to allow them to juke out of Squeezy's Griff Super. Doodle's popping the damage gadget, and he is going to find a connection, but oh, that is a fantastic tap from Nerf. So, we're going to see control fall back into the hands of GG, but they've got a 30% deficit to make up here.
Indeed, and we see control coming in from GG. Once Jaeyoung does have this right side open, it's going to be easier for him to contest. It is interesting that they decided not to go for the lane swaps that they had last time. The lane alignment last time helped them out a lot in the first game, so that means that Doodle should be going on a Squeezy. But I feel like the range disparity for the Jaeyoung versus B actually makes it a better matchup for them, so maybe that might be the strat.
Yeah, we got Lukey online with his porters here. They're doing a little bit of work here, just kind of bothering Kirito, but he's going to get pinched out by Doodle and Lukey. We see 2 players fall here, and both players on LLC are pretty weak, but they still have zone control. Squeezy pops the Grip Hyper as well. Not able to take out Nerf quite yet, but this hot zone is ticking up above 80% right here. GG needs to make a play, and they need to make it now.
Yeah, Kirito going in, holding W, gets taken out here. Squeezy very low, but is managing to survive just a little bit. No, the kill has been confirmed by Nerf, and now Roladu has to contend against these hyper porters, but I don't think he cares so much at that point.
Yep, they're going to take that W, and we're going to be moving on to set point in set number 1. Obviously, in a best of 3, winning set number 1 is so important. So both of these teams obviously know that they can win after winning one game. They've got to lock in on their mechanics as we go into game number 3.
Beautiful stuff coming in from the side of LSC to equalize this one, though there is a way forward for GG to come back here. They already have control of this mid, and I feel like the reason GG have been able to stay in this game is mostly because of Doodle's speed and the heals which he keeps on cycling through. So maybe that might be the winning ticket for them, but it didn't work out for them in the second game. So let's see how they are able to respond. Doodle taking massive amount of damage and has to go back, managing to get his super at the right time, using the speed to get out of position, but Squeezy has squeezed him out and kept him off the point.
He does end up wasting his cards though, so going to be a little bit of lack of value on right there, but either way, they are still getting a little bit of zone time back. The Barley Super is going to allow them to pick up some more percentages as well. Lukey's forced to fall back to the right side with Nerf. Doodle's going to be doing what he can with that damage gadget, but he's going to be quickly dealt with by Squeezy, and the lead is going to fall back into the hands of LLC here, as they have Kirito with pretty much full position in the middle, and that is going to be a difficult spawn trap to break from, especially as Nerf falls again.
Indeed, and unfortunately for Nerf, they have been nerfed here, so that's unfortunate, as Kirito putting down his healing tonic and gets his team back up to full. Squeezy has a super on this left-hand side, and there is a hypercharge from Roladu. They have all the utilities, they have control of the mid, and they have a huge, massive lead. It's looking from bad to worse for GG. Despite the great start, LC are taking over.
Yep, and Roladu has hypercharge, Squeezy has hypercharge. The Grip Hyper is going to take out 2 players, and that's going to be another kill on the right-hand side as well. Full squad wipe to secure the win for LLC in a reverse sweep on Dueling Beetles. So things were looking a little bit shaky, and unfortunately for GG, they are not going to claim their first set in GKR. They're going to have to try to see if they can pick that up in set number 2.
Yeah, it was unfortunate for them. Just beautiful the way that LLC were able to figure out the deficiencies in their composition in the first game. The lane assignments were basically what stuck out to me. Specifically, we had Jaeyoung going up against the Griff in the first game, which made Griff less impactful, and Nerf was actually having the very difficult task as a Finks to take out the B on the other side. The range disparity is kind of crazy, but he was doing a better job at it. So I don't know why they decided to swap the lane matchups, considering what was working for them was what was being brought out in the first game was working for them. But you know, that's just something that they need to be considerate of as they go forward. If something's working, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, as the saying goes, right?
Yep, agree with you there. I think something important to touch on is that as far as like the anti-tanks go in the game, B has by far the best range. So if you find yourself in a matchup where you're like Griff versus B or Finks versus B, it's just going to be really difficult to get that W in that 1v1. That's exactly what we saw take place in Dueling Beetles right there. And B is just one of those brawlers who has been in and around the top of the meta for quite some time, although she has never really elevated to the level of a bannable brawler. So maybe we'll start to see her banned out a little bit more, but she has definitely been pretty influential in a lot of these sets that we've seen today.
Indeed. I mean, the first set, it looked like it was going the way of GG, right? At the draft, from the onset, we thought it was LSC. It felt like LSC definitely had all the cards, but it didn't play out well for them in the first game. They were able to course correct, and that's what you need to do in competitive, right? Open business is going to be a slightly more open-ish map, but at the same time, there are enough walls that allow you and facilitate a lot of these aggro brawlers, the tanks as well. So that's a consideration to be made, and Gray is another great brawler to get onto the point or even get into the enemy spawn on the other side. So a lot of different options that you could go for on a map like Open Business.
Definitely, and it seems like these two teams are definitely not really going strictly with the meta too. I mean, we saw GG pull out the Mr. P in set number 1, so maybe they'll be able to pull out another brawler that we haven't seen yet today, or they could fall back on the Meg that we have come to love so much throughout today's games. We've got our draft starting here though. The bans are in. It's Liu, Griff, Jaeyoung, Hank, Kenji, and Lumi. So the first pick is going to be on the side of GG. The 3 most broken brawlers on this map have been banned out, so we're gonna have to see what they go with, and it's gonna be the Horse Berry.
indeed. I like the berry. It is very good at just, you know, getting your super and hypercharge, just because if you take damage, you're able to charge up your super. If your teammates take damage and you heal them up, you're able to get your super, and you have to be on the point to claim any possession of the hot zone. So berry is just very diabolical like that, and you pair it up with tankier brawlers. Like a lot of the tankier brawlers have been removed, but you still have Frank as a possibility. You still have Draco, and Finks is going to be brought out by LSC Esports NA, and we're seeing Finks definitely gaining aura as we're going through this match day, from being a very occasional pick to being almost required now.
Yeah, people are absolutely spamming this Finks in competitive gameplay, and I'm sure all the Finks fans at home are living for it. Me personally, I don't play a whole lot of Finks, so can't speak to how fun he is too much, but he's definitely a pretty solid hot zone brawler, as well as Barley, who's going to come into the fold for LLC as well. They've got their thrower, they've got their tank counter, and I think that the Barley makes a good amount of sense into the Berry. You're kind of just able to shoot those puddles and out damage the heals that Berry has to offer. So we see those two brawlers face off each other a pretty fair amount in hot zone gameplay. GG is up next on the board though. What are they going to pair with that Berry?
What? We're getting Train? The
I love
Train
it.
is coming out? That's crazy.
I don't think it's that bad of a pick. I think that there is a pretty solid post setup that you can get where you go through the middle of the hot zone. I've actually been experimenting with this myself in my own ranked endeavors, but there's a pretty diabolical post setup that you can get where you don't just go around, you actually dash through the middle. So maybe we'll see a little bit of professional Train gameplay setting up the ideal posts, but I do think that's a pretty solid pick, especially paired with the Berry, and they're going to go all in on the aggro here with the Lily.
Wow. If I would not want to be that Barley if I were me right now. It's not looking that good. They already kind of know that the Barley might be cooked, but let's see if they have something in their back pocket for this last pick here, because in terms of the draft, it is not standard. It is not something expected from GG. So LC Esports NA looking quite happy with how things are going. You can see the smiles on their face. They go for Doug, and against what we're seeing, maybe the Doug might be good, especially once you get the hot dogs to your teammates to keep them up in terms of, you know, if they get taken out, they get revived almost immediately. So maybe that's a consideration here, but I like the chances of GG.
This is awesome, dude. I'm just excited that we get to see the Train and the hot dog man in the exact same game. I mean, this is looking like a crazy draft so far. Mythic 1 odd draft, but we're going into set number 2 here. LOC is winning in sets right now. We're going to see Doodle popping his first gadget of the game, going straight for Squeezy, but he stops a little bit early. Squeezy's going to teleport back into the mid, but they're just going to combine. Kirito is just doing a little bit too much burst damage, but he is taken out by Nerf. Either way, though, the percentage is definitely sitting on the side of LOC.
Yeah, all three posts have been put down by Nerf here, so that's something to think about. Luki Bear is on the left-hand side going up against Roladu, and he is obviously known as one of the best throwers, right? He gets, oh, he doesn't get killed. There's actually a gadget being popped here. He gets taken out by Roladu, and complete lockdown of the mid by LSC Esports. Doodle has a super, could go for it. This is a huge disparity in terms of control of the hot zone here with LSC Esports in a great spot. Ooh, destroyed. Doodle goes in, but gets taken out. There is a big super being brought out by Nerf, but he gets taken out. Hypercharged, but Luki disappears.
There's so much stuff on the screen right here with the Barley super, with the Berry super. Just a lot of nonsense covering the ground right now, but we see GG is working their way back into the fold here. Now that they have their Chuck post set up, they might be able to do a little bit more work, but I don't know. Oh my god, Luki with a double kill right there. I forgot Kirito has a hot dog actually, and he has another one to add into the mix. Whew, he is just milking this percentage right here.
Nerf going crazy there. Gets double, but not going to be enough, as they are going to be able to claim this game. It is match point for the side of LSC Esports NA, and the unorthodox draft, despite all of our hopes and dreams, seems to be crashing and burning in front of us.
Yeah, I guess the Doug is just a fantastic counter into the Train. It looks like he was able to get so many supers during that game. Every time I thought he was dead for good, he just would rise from the dead and just pop back up in the middle of that zone. And I think that's going to be something that GG is going to have to try and be a little bit more aware of this time. It seems like a couple of times that Kirito was able to respawn and nobody knew he was respawning. So GG is going to get back to work right now, just trying to zone them out of the zone for now, but I mean, they aren't really getting any percentage of their own right now. Doodle pops a gadget. He's going for Roladu, but he gets dealt with quickly.
Kirito in a difficult spot here. Verbal Sonic is there, but he gets taken out by Luki's Hypercharger. Luki's going to be pretty low, gets taken out by Roladu, and I think that's not what they wanted at all. I feel like that might have been basically the death knell for GG here, and you're going to see heroics coming in from Doodle. That super takes out Roladu. That's going to be huge, and there is some kind of way forward for them. Ooh, gadget pop by Garrido. He gets 2 here. Complete team wipe, and he walks into that, but he does have the hot dog popped.
Yeah, Kirito is just putting on an absolute dunk clinic right now. Not a brawler we expected to see today, but nonetheless, he is making it look like a top 10 brawler in the meta after this gameplay. Doodle's going to go in and immediately pop a gadget to get out of there. We see Kirito respawning. Doodle has Hyper, but he's going to choose to save it for now, but there is not much more time.
Dude, how is he able to cycle that many hot dogs? You know, I might just say that we need a nerf Doug.
Doug nerf is going to be imminent after this gameplay, but I think that's going to do it for them. Maybe not quite yet, 34% to 99%. But I mean, with the hot dog on the roster, he's probably just going to waddle his way into that zone to finish off the sweep for LLC. And they're going to be trolling a little tiny bit, but a very deserved win from LLC. Off meta picks, but I mean, hey, they delivered the results.
Yeah, I mean, they had to go slightly off meta with the brawlers that were brought out, right? Specifically to counter them out. That Doug pick just paid a lot of dividends for them, and they're going to take the dub as a result. And I got to say, thank you to GG for giving us such a wild draft that it actually made it interesting, right? You don't have that much of anarchy in esports scene, so it was nice to see something different. But, you know, unfortunately, this is esports, and LLC is going to be taking that dub, and we say GG's to GG. But next up on the docket, Space Station versus Pioneers. But before we get into that whole, you know, yapping and diatribe there, but how did you find this game here?
I loved it, man. I mean, even if it didn't work out, I still think going off meta is so fun. Like seeing the train fall into the play and then the immediate hot dog to counter it. It's just fun, man. It's good Brawl Stars. It's good gameplay, and I love to see a little bit of meta action here. So hopefully we see a little bit more of that going into our final set. I expect the drafts to be a little bit more polished from these two teams. But I mean, we've had some fun matches. We've had some good matches. I'm expecting this last match to give us a little bit of both.
Indeed, and I'm just looking forward to seeing all of that explosive action. But unfortunately, we gotta wait. We're gonna have a 3-minute break. And that time, I want you guys to use code PAN in the shop and let me know if you've used it. And we'll see you after the break. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to GKR today. It's match day number 4. I'm your host, Pan. Panicast, code PAN in the shop. But I have one thing to say before we get started on our yap session here. Congratulations to Duncan Brawl Stars for 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you, chat, for making it happen. I am so happy for you, Duncan. And don't forget, tomorrow at 8 p.m. EST, he will be doing a Mandy cosplay to commemorate him reaching 10,000 subscribers. So make sure you guys are there. We need to see him with his dogs out and everything. I'm waiting for that, Duncan.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate it so much. Thank you to everybody who subscribed to me as well. It really does. And I cannot wait to show you guys the Mandy cosplay tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern time on my channel. So make sure to sub to me so you don't miss that. Should be fantastic. But I'm super excited to get into this game, getting back out of the self-glaze mode. We got SSG versus Pioneers, which is a rematch of what we saw last week, and Pioneers did come out on top of that. So what are you expecting from match number 2 between these two teams?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're expecting a lot, right? Space Station, though, has been floundering in both the BSC and in third-party tournaments. While the skill certainly exists, the constant outdrafts seem to be plaguing their chances in the first half of the BSC. Ideally, this should serve as a wake-up call for all the NA teams, but specifically for Space Station, as the loss against New Heights Gaming was a massive one, and they almost didn't qualify for the monthly finals as a result. They narrowly pipped Code OG, but his chances now for Worlds are basically in the dust, as now they have to vie for LCQ. But just looking at Pioneers, right? They're a squad that is increasingly looking like they can go toe-to-toe to Tribe Gaming. And with good drafts complemented with mechanical prowess of the ensemble, Space Station right now are in a supremely difficult spot as they've played only 1 win in the GKR. So that's not what we expect from Space Station at all. But Pioneers are definitely looking like the team to beat here.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be It's got to be tough for SSG, man. They've been the favorites in this region for quite some time now, or at least like in and around the favorites for this region. And this year, things have just not been falling into place as well as they would have liked to. Pioneers, on the other hand, have low-key been under the radar as far as the NA scene goes. Obviously, some pretty well-known players, Fade, Tyrant, and Zulon, but haven't really seen them make any monthly finals yet. That's been exclusively reserved for Elevate and Tribe Gaming so far. So we got to see if the former Tribe Gaming roster is going to be able to go toe-to-toe with the new Tribe Gaming roster at some point. But first, they've got to deal with SSG for the second time in a row right now. Should be a pretty good game, though, between two teams with a lot to prove in the region.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, SSG right now are trying to pick up the pieces, right, of the dashed hopes that they've had so far. But Pioneers are looking like they're completely collected and a much more, like, complete squad, like, a complete squad, which we haven't seen from SSG in the past few months. I feel like a lot of SSG's problems and miseries and woes stem from specifically how a lot of the times that they draft, because when it comes to even drafts, right, they most of the time are able to beat teams. When it comes to bad drafts, they're even able to compete against some of the top teams, so they have the skill set. The draft is something that they need to address, and I'm not sure if they know what the secret sauce is, but I'm hoping they find it. I've been an SSG, I mean, not an SSG fan per se, but I've been a Bobby fan since 2019, so I always like to see him on top, and unfortunately, you know, for a lot of the Bobby fans, not the way that it should be going.
Yeah, myself included in that category right there. I do agree with you that they've got the mechanics, but it has come down to a lot of bad drafts in the past. So hopefully they've kind of polished their hot zone drafting before we get into our games today. We are going to have the same maps that we've seen throughout the prior matches today, starting with Dueling Beetles, going into Open Business, and then Ring of Fire if necessary, if we are pushed to a third set. But what are you expecting from these two teams as far as the strategy goes?
Well, I'm hoping, number one, that Bobby took notes, right? But for SSG, I'd say, like, they stick to a lot of things that they're comfortable with, which works for some of the teams, but they need to be a little bit more experimental with the way they draft things. I feel like a lot of the times they aren't drafting reactionary enough into the opponents. They're going with their faith in their abilities. Well, that's great. Now the meta has become so heavy with the draft that they need to be able to draft as well as their opponents. We're going to go into our draft here, speaking of it, of which it's Dueling Beetles, and Lumi, Finks, Kenji are going to be bans, along with Juju, Gray, and Barry J. Young going to be the pickup for Pioneers. And it's a very strong pickup because it gives you a lot of different ideas that you could go for. Jae Young is a support and a healer, but with that gadget, he is able to blitz down any encroaching opponents. With Hank going to be the pickup for Space Station here. And Bobby, I gotta say, he's looking quite good.
Yeah, well, he's the only one of his teammates that wanted to pop out on camera today. As far as Pioneers go, it looks like we're getting the Tyrant butt cam, but I mean, we're gonna see the SSG draft continue to unfold here. Hank, obviously a very menacing brawler on this map, and with the Jae Young coming out with the first pick, I think that Hank makes a lot of sense. Obviously, Jae Young is a lot of things, but a high damage brawler is not one of those. So they're going to be going for the out HP strategy, and then the Crow with the anti-heal makes a good amount of sense right there. But we see Pioneers going with the Ollie, trying to get a tank of their own, as well as the B, who we've seen be so influential today. So I like the draft from Pioneers, but I think SSG has potential with this last pick here.
Yeah, the last pick is what I feel like SSG kind of missed the plot on most of the time, because looking at what we have so far, I think this draft is pretty even, but we need to get a last pick which does counter out the mids to the mid to long range. I feel like Jae Young with B and Ollie have every single thing that you need in terms of the draft to operate. And I don't agree with the Barley pick. I feel like Barley is a great brawler, but can it really keep people at bay enough here? And I don't think that that's going to be the case. I would have preferred running, you know, maybe the Juju, but since Juju's already banned out, they have to run the Barley. I'm not sure if I agree.
I get it. I mean, Juju and Barry being banned out does make Barley pretty clearly the best thrower to go here, but at the same time, Barley doesn't really get that zone percentage himself. He's more good for keeping the enemies off of the zone, which you can't really do forever. So we'll see how it works out going into game number 1. We have Kansas City Pioneers in red, SSG in blue, and we're just going to see them jockeying for position here. Sands is going to be the player to watch right now. As he moves up with his big bubble, he takes a lot of damage, and he's not really going to be able to get any damage of his own right there. Fade jumps in, is able to secure that kill with Tyrant.
Yeah, big gadget from Tyrant, and they completely clamped down on this SSG side. So despite SSG having an early lead, I feel like a lot more control is on the side of KCP. You will see them bouncing back a little bit, but routinely you should see SSG dipping their toes in on the hot zone. Fade going up, mano a mano against Sans, pulls him in, is able to take him down, but now he might be facing the barrel of a gun. He's very, very low, and he's going to be taken out here, and that is going to be a little bit, I guess, concerning for KCB, but certainly bolsters the confidence of SSG in the second engage.
Yeah, we've seen a ton of back and forth going down so far already. Fade is going to be using the super gadget combo, and although Sans does pop his heal, he still falls shortly after. So it's going to be SSG stuck in a 2v3, although they do have a healthy lead onto the zone so far. Fade is going to be trying to get a little position of his own, but Sans is going to push them back with that fish hypercharge. Bobby's trying to get a little bit of damage onto Fade, but he's going to get hypnotized, and he falls as well. Tyrant picks off Sans, and that's going to be zone control going back to KCP, but the lead is still sitting with SSG pretty significantly so far.
Right now, SSG are waiting for Chino to get that purple button. Once he gets that purple button, he's going to be able to jump in on opponents and maybe take out a few, or maybe keep them so low that they have to go back, and he finally does get that purple button. There is going to be a super beam popped. Purple button goes, but Fade is able to dodge it, so no value from that purple button for Chino. They are going to be able to get the kill on a Fade. No, Fade managed to get out of that situation. This is crazy. The number of times this guy has clutched up in esports is crazy to me.
I don't know how he got out of that, but either way, it's still looking bad for his team. Zulon's going to be the next to fall, and it's just Tyrant. He's not going to be able to force SSG off of this zone, and it seems like SSG might have learned how to draft since we've seen them last. They're going to be taking game number 1 right here. Obviously, don't want to get too far ahead of our, but Bobby's got to be feeling good. Taking a 1-0 lead against Kansas City Pioneers, who just recently beat them. They've got to be feeling a little bit better going into game number 2 now.
Yeah, for sure. I think that the wake-up call in the monthly qualifier is definitely, served its purpose here. They're looking much stronger and much cleaner here. Now, you have to see how KCP decide to respond here, because I feel like it wasn't bad gaming from the side of KCP. It was just better mechanics from SSG. And I've mentioned this before. SSG, when they're able to get a somewhat even draft, they're able to outskill a lot of their opponents here, and they are doing that quite effectively, though. Fade is able to pull Sans, but Sans gets the last laugh.
Yeah, that tap from Chino was huge right there to keep Sans alive. If he didn't get that poison dagger on him, then Sans would have been in a very difficult position. So well played by Chino. Sans is continuing to just hold down position behind this unbreakable wall here. He is going to pop his shield and immediately wipe Tyrant off the face of the earth. Fade is going to dodge out of the fish super right there, but still, it's just going to be Zulon left. He's not going to be able to pick up any zone percentage for himself. 60+% lead for SSG. It looks like they might have this set in the bag.
Yeah, it's looking quite dominant. I felt like KCP would have won this, but, Bobby piloting the Barley is just keeping people at bay. He gets taken out here. The Hypnosis is going to be online. Hypercharge being popped by Sans. He's able to stay alive. Super coming in for Chino, but there is a trade. Now Tyrant getting the better of Sans, but, it's still too late for KCP to get something going. They need to play perfectly and ensure that nobody gets on the point.
We've seen some comebacks today, but 80% is going to be a new record. This one off. Sans is going to pop his shield with the help of Bobby's Herbal Tonic to get a little bit more HP on the board, but Zulon's B Hypercharge is going to do a lot of work keeping them back. They are getting a little bit closer here, but we really just need to see one final push from SSG in order to secure this. And with Bobby having the super in hand too, he's likely going to be able to use that to push them off the zone pretty soon.
Indeed, there is going to be a super coming in from Fade. He's able to address Sans. That's going to be huge. And now Bobby does have a hypercharge, but the next person he needs to get the hypercharge is Chino. Still, though, it's not too much of a cause for concern for Space Station, as they only need 10% on the point. They have a little bit more control because of Bobby's purple button. Now Fade going in. He should be able to get the hypnotized, but he hypnotizes him on the hot zone itself. So Space Station Gaming taking that dub there.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a little bit of an out comp, which I'm not used to saying about SSG, but it seems like they had all the answers right now. Maybe into the Jaeyoung a little bit better than I had given it credit for when we saw it come out in the first set, but it seems like that's a pick that the pros are tending to lean towards a little bit more often. And as far as Jaeyoung goes, it seems like people are kind of learning how to counter him competitive play. So good draft, great gameplay, and a good W for SSG. They're going to be pushing on to set number 2 with a lead.
Yeah, they've addressed a lot of the deficiencies that they have, and they don't have many deficiencies. There were a little bit of issues, I guess, concerning unforced errors being brought up by SSG in a lot of the other tournaments. I didn't see many errors happening in this game. There was also a much better draft, all things considered. I wasn't too confident with the draft itself because it looks so strong from KCP. But like I said, the skill of this side of Space Station, along with the synergy that they can bring to the table, if they have a decent to good draft, is definitely on display here. We're gonna go into open business, and hopefully for Pioneers they have something else going, because Pioneers in this competition have been looking so good. They've been looking at the same level as Tribe in this competition at least, but Space Station were completely out, right? Now they're looking much better. They're looking confident. They're looking like they have the control that they need, and maybe things are looking up. Or I might just be eating my shorts in the next 2 sets.
I don't know if we've touched on this before the game started, but as of right now, Pioneers is the undefeated team throughout 3 days. We did see Tribe, which was the only team going into today at 3-0 with Pioneers. Tribe Gaming lost to Elevate though, so if we see Pioneers lose here, that's going to be no more unbeaten teams in our bracket so far. SSG is sitting at 1-2 right now as well, so a little bit outside of playoff position. Massive stakes on the line for SSG. They definitely need this win. Pioneers going to be trying to stay undefeated, but we are going into our second draft on open business. Bans are going to be Finks, Kenji, Lumi, Greg, Griff, and Barry Panda.
Indeed, first pick gonna go for Pioneers here, and the ever-present butt and dogs cam from Tyrant is gonna be there for us to see while we wait for the next pick here, and along with the very nice hairline of Zulan. First pick gonna be the B. I like the B pick here. Honestly, I think that it's been the brawler on the winning side of the draft most of the times today, so already gonna bolster the confidence for Pioneers. SSG going for the Amber, and even though Mori Gaming lost, right, we saw how good Sunny was on the Amber with the hypercharges, so you're gonna be seeing Amber probably getting that hypercharge maybe halfway through, or maybe 3/4 of the way through the game, and that's going to be turning the tables on Pioneers. So Pioneers have to try to get the game unlocked beforehand or not suffer too many consequences when that happens. Hank going to be the tank being brought out for SSG, and there already is an anti-tank on B, but Frank is just going to be there for adding a little bit more surety to the mix.
Yeah, we see both teams coming out with tanks immediately. I'm not surprised to see the Hank still being picked into the B. I feel like Hank is just a brawler where even his counters, like, he can still counter sometimes. He's just so broken in the right situation, and that super gives him the healing that he needs to get through some of those bad matchups more often than not. Frank is a pick that we've seen come out into the Hank though sometimes. I'm trying not to get mixed up over my names here, but he's got a little bit more range, and he's able to hit those stuns and kind of just cycle supers and hypercharges on him. So it is a difficult brawler to play. It's definitely easy to miss one of those supers and then get caught without any supercharge going into the next interaction. So we'll have to see how well they're able to play it. They add a Stu as well, which is fantastic for mobility and just kind of a good all-around brawler. Going to be able to farm a lot of supers off the Hank, but the one thing that Stu isn't really the best for is just doing consistent damage and just kind of finishing off those kills.
Yeah, Crow coming out for SSG. I feel like if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? So they like the Crow. The anti-heal is going to be huge because that means that the sustain is already going to be massively lower for the other team. Crow, along with Amber, very pivotal hypercharge, more so than the other teams, so that's something to think about. But Stu, we saw Avex on the Stu in Ring of Fire and against Tribe Gaming, and he got like multiple kills with that, so that's a cause for concern for SSG, sorry. As we go into the second set, SSG claimed the first and are looking to close this one out with another set win. KCP do not want that to happen. Over to you, Duncan.
Definitely not at all. Sans is going to be locking it back, running it back with the fish once again here. He's going to be laning up Tyrant, so not trying to feed him that dash, but he also isn't really able to do too much of his own before he gets that. Bobby is going to light Fade on fire. There's pretty solid value there with his gadget oil that he's kind of just charging another super for free on. It's going to make it a lot easier for him to get hypercharge here. He already has his second super online, so KCP's got to be a little bit worried about Bobby's hypercharge progress. He does get smacked by a couple of bees though, and he's going to miss his next super, so not the best value. Sans is still continuing to kind of just dance around on this left. Not really anything that he can do yet.
Yeah, they're going to be a swap up for roll. Tina's going to be going in the mid against Zulan, and Sans is going to pick up a little bit of the slack here. Ooh, nice pull from Fade. Gets a kill on a Bobby. Sans might be the next to fall because of the fire damage, and he gets taken out by Zulan. Great work from KCP all around to isolate and completely take out SSG from the equation.
Yeah, Bobby's going to light Fade on fire, but that's not going to be anywhere near enough damage to take out a Frank there. And he gets pulled again, overstepping his boundaries a little too many times. He is going to end up trading out that kill with the fire damage, but the lead is handily in KCP's hands as of right now. Zulon pop hypercharge as well, gonna stall Sans for as long as he can. Sans finally has a matchup where he can actually play the game though, but it's not gonna be for long. He's gonna get immediately wiped here. Chino is likely gonna be next to fall to Tyrant, and this is just gonna be the lead continuing to grow for KCP even through the Bobby hypercharge.
This is a game marred only by unforced errors. So many times you see members of SSG peeking out only to be caught out by a charge shot from Zulon or Tyrant dashing in to pick them off one by one. And now they're circling around like flies trying to get onto the hot zone, but KCP are trying not to make that happen as Tyrant is able to help, get one kill on the right hand side, and once more Sans gets taken out by Fade. Fade a masterclass on this Frank, and it's kind of crazy how dominant he's been against this SSG side.
He's been so good, especially with those gadgets, and he somehow is going to catch Sans in that super as well. I thought there was no way he would be in range, but second hypercharge for Zulon is going to come online. He's going to be getting significant damage onto Bobby and Chino, and then Tyrant pops this 2 hypercharge. That is more than likely going to be enough for them to finish out this game right here. Fade is going to put the nail in the coffin right there, and that's going to be game number 1 going to KCP. SSG looks like they might have got out drafted here. I'm not really too sure if Crow is the pick this time.
I don't mind the Crow, but I feel like there were so many issues with Bobby just walking up to Fade, allowing him to use the gadget, get those 2 kills. That kept Bobby off of the zone for so much longer. Then we comp out the fact that he missed one of his supers, and that means that hypercharge is not online. He got the hypercharge at the end of the game, but it was already 100 at that point. So they need to be more careful about how they're going to be playing around these walls, not giving too many hits to the KCP side. We're going to go into game number 2 here, and KCP are in a great spot to take a set and force the set number 3. Though stamina, SSG has a lot to be said.
Yeah, it looks like Bobby's going to get pulled once again, but he actually comes out on top of it this time around. So much better start for SSG. We saw Sans play a little bit more aggressive off rip as well. He might be able to catch Tyrant out here, more than likely so, and indeed he does. He's going to hit that super shot onto Fade as well, who does have his Frank super, but he's not going to be letting that rip yet. Bobby's setting up some oil just to kind of deal with like a little bit of a distraction, trying to zone the enemy team out a little bit. We do see the lead on the side of SSG, but they're already doing better than they had last time. It still doesn't look the best. Zulon's going to be able to get so much value in the middle against this Crow that he outranges.
Ooh, Tyrant played that perfectly against Bobby. Just baited so many of the shots, waited for Bobby to lose all of his ammo and then push Bobby back. But now the poison from Chino is going to keep him down. And finally, they do address Zulon as well. Complete team wipe, favoring the side of SSG. Hypercharge being popped by Fade. Map completely broken up, and the B is going to be a menace for SSG.
Yeah, that's not going to be the best for Fade, but it is going to be the best for Zulon, and we see him pop this hypercharge here. He has no super to speak of right now, and Sans is doing a great job wiggling these shots, so he's actually not going to get the hyper super. Definitely a little bit of a mistake from Zulon not getting the maximum value out of that purple button, but Tyrant has his purple button, and he's going crazy with it. Bobby is going to fall. We do see about a 40% lead on the side of SSG, but no control of the zone right now. Chino with a beautiful jump, though.
Bobby finally gets his hypercharge. Is he able to connect? No, he's not. He gets a kill, though, on the other side, but Zulon still unaddressed on this left-hand side. Hypercharge be popped by Sans. No, he's not able to get the super or the hypercharge. I think that's probably better for SSG, all things considered. But it's looking like KCP are able to claw their way back in this one. That hypercharge super from Fade to open up the map has done wonders for them and really made it impossible for SSG to compete in this one.
Yeah, the spawn trap is serious. Sans is going to get caught out by the Frank hypercharge, and Fade is on fire, but it's not going to be enough to take down the massive health of that Frank right there. The lead is back into the hands of KCP as we inch towards the end of this game. Fade hits another gadget. That's going to be a kill onto Sans. SSG trying to get a little more zone time, but they need to get Tyrant off ASAP. Only 3% left. Tyrant trying to dodge, and he's going to go down, but with 100%, that is going to be the set win going to KCP. We are tied up at 1 set apiece.
Beautiful stuff from Kansas City Pioneers. Finally, we see a crouch cam coming in from the side of Tyrant. But you can see on their faces, they're pretty confident. You see a little bit of a smile on Zulon, and that just means that the competition is a dead heat. It is going to be a sudden death for the set. Ring of Fire is next up on the docket as both the teams have claimed a set of their own. And honestly, I liked a little bit of the draft from SSG and Open Business, but they just did not play it to the way that it should have been played. I feel like there were so many mistakes which we have been seeing from SSG perennially in this past 6 months. So I'm a little bit sad that it wasn't as clean as the first game, but hopefully in Ring of Fire they're able to course correct here. But it looks like we've had a very consistent KCP through the first 2 sets. Didn't say that they played bad in set number 1, it's just that SSG played it better. In set number 2, SSG were completely outclassed, and let's see how it happens and to unfold in Ring of Fire.
Yeah, it's definitely going to come down to the draft here. I mean, we saw SSG cook with draft in set 1, and then in set number 2, it seemed like I don't really know if there was a use case for the Crow right there, and it seems like the Crow's impact was minimal, if anything, so maybe we'll see them lock in on the draft a little bit harder here. If I see a third Crow in this set, I'm going to have some serious questions for the side of SSG, but hopefully they can cook a little bit harder than that. Should be a banger match either way, though. Moving on to set 3 with 2 fantastic NA teams, and there's so much to play for as far as the leaderboard goes.
And I mean, honestly, it's such an important pivotal match for SSG specifically, because they're not in a great spot in GKR, right? They're at the bottom of the leaderboard. That's not something that you expect. On the other side, though, Pioneers still undefeated and are looking to extend their streak. So this is a very pivotal win because, I mean, if Pioneers can keep SSG out of the playoffs, that's even better for their chances in the playoffs, because Space Station is such an unpredictable team in terms of the way that they play. If they get even drafts, or if they get a better draft occasionally, that's already going to spell doom for you. So, keeping them out of the playoffs is definitely a strat, and I think Pioneers wanted to ensure that they get the dub here. Oh, obviously seeding is also a consideration.
Yeah, but I think you're completely right about that. I mean, knocking a division rival out of playoffs would be definitely something that they can feel good about. Just delivering a morale boost to the side of SSG, who already can't be feeling the best about the way that this season has unfolded. So whether it's just for the seeding or if it's for a little bit of the ego here, is obviously these players have a lot of history together. There is so much on the line as we move into that number on Ring of Fire. Tied up at 1-1, our bans are in the 2B Amber, Finks, Lumi, and Jae Young. Pioneers picking the Bell up first.
Indeed, I like this Bell pick. On this map specifically, Bell is very viable. Bo is going to be coming out for SSG on the other side. This Bo pick, the mines which you place on the mid are a big hazard. You have to, disengage them, and it might not be easy considering, it's hard to figure out where they are. I think that this is also another targeted, a pick here, because obviously if you're going to be facing off against the Bo in your SSG, you have Bobby, and that's a handicap. So I like this pick for SSG.
I couldn't disagree, or I couldn't agree with you more there, But also something to take note of is that Kenji has not been banned, so I'm very curious if one of the teams are going to scoop up the Kenji here. As we said, he is going to be getting nerfed soon, so it might be the last chance that we see for a little bit of Kenji action right now. We're going to see Pioneers are going to pick up a Juju with their pick here. So it is a pretty good map for her. There's a lot of water for her to be able to kind of reside in. And then she's going to get those slow shots. And then with that elemental gadget, she gets that insane speed boost as well, if she opts to go for that instead of the invisibility. But if my eyes don't deceive me, SSG is going to pick the cat.
Wow. That is kind of wild and kind of crazy, especially in the last draft here. 8-Bit's going to be coming out. But a kit with these brawlers? I don't know if I agree. Juju's going to be coming out for Pioneers, and once the last pick from Pioneers, it's going to be interesting. I don't like the kit, though. I really don't.
I just don't really know what purpose it's going to serve here. I mean, maybe we're going to see a different brawler once we load into the game, because this is a real head scratcher for me, Pan. I've played a lot of ranked, and I don't think ever seen Kit on Ring of Fire, so we'll see if it's maybe gonna do numbers and we are just a little sleep on it. We don't see the vision yet, but Pioneers pick up a Penny with the last pick. Another brawler we don't see too often, but she used to be extremely good on this map when she was meta. Obviously, she has that little enclave to throw her turret in their own team spawn, so it can definitely be pretty important. It's obviously going to be really good for zoning the other team out of the middle, but we're going into game number 3 match. We've got one set win apiece, and we're gonna have to see who takes it home in Ring of Fire.
Indeed, here we go underway. It's gonna come down to the wire here between SSG and KCP. Already a big super beam popped by Bobby. He gets the kill as well. That is great for the side of SSG, as they have controlled this hot zone, and already the kit has been serving the purpose, which I find it quite interesting. Bobby's on the right hand side. Sans already has a turret up, which is great for Space Station Gaming. Chino trying to get back on the point, and you see them cycling. You're gonna have Chino going in, you're gonna have Sans going in, one after the other. Bobby going in, he tries to get a double, not able to do so, but that's gonna give Sans enough of a license to move back onto the mid here. But that penny turret is something to talk about here for KCP, as that is certainly going to get them a lot more possession and control of the hot zone. If I was Bobby, I'd jump in on the turret to take it out, but Tyrant already has another one.
Yeah, it might be not really worth the effort. I mean, Tyrant's going to be continuing to cycle at these turrets. Look at how many bell traps Zulon has up on his side as well. Ooh. Bobby's going to jump and secure that kill with the help of Sans. Sans and Chino are trying to deal with Fade, though, and he is just being such a menace behind these walls there, and Chino is going to respond accordingly by placing those to destroy that L-shaped wall that Fade was hiding behind for such a good portion of the game. Bobby goes invisible, but not able to wiggle out of the shots right there. Chino almost takes out Tyrant, but he is not going to fall. He gets the tank up to survive that shot from Zulon, but the hypercharged turret is just so annoying to try to juke out of.
Ooh, nice kill from Bobby on a Fade. That's good. Sorry, onto Fade. Yeah, that was big for them, but Bobby gets taken out by Tyrant. There is that hyper turret as well, which is doing huge numbers against KC3, I mean, against SSG, and that is definitely going to be very difficult for them to really hold on to control with the Chino going down. Now Bobby going in with his invisibility, tries to fight something. Zulon pops his gadget and uses hyper and uses it on Bobby, who's already dead. Oh, never mind. I'm an idiot. Staz gets marked up. I'll shut up now.
I mean, even with these questionable cat jumps, we are still going to see a pretty significant lead for SSG so far. They've done a really good job not getting hit by the penny turret from Tyrant so far. The hypercharged mines are going to do numbers too. That's going to be a double kill, and the cat pick is going to bring SSG to match point. Not something that I was expecting to say right here, Pan.
With that kit pick, I lost a hope. I need to believe in Bobby. I need to believe in SSG again, because this was crazy coming from Space Station. Now we need to get a Pioneers up to force double match point. But right now, Space Station are on the cusp of victory here. They just need one more win. It's not going to be easy though. Bobby's going to be popping his gadget to get his super, and we saw how oppressive he was with that super. You saw the team play coming in with Bobby just jumping in, getting those stuns, and you had his teammates picking off the stunned opponent. Now Bobby gets taken out. He got a little bit in terms of control of the hot zone, so that is great. He's also probably close to his super as well. SSG Sans has a turret of his own to use, going to be placing it in an opportune position for Chino to get value out of it, and now Bobby jumps in. Chino is able to get the kill onto Tyrant, but Bobby also falls by the wayside. There is a super being popped by the bell, but doesn't make its mark. Fade walks into Sans' shots, gets taken out. Bobby going in, but finds a bear trap, but manages to survive. It's looking great for SSG as they have complete map control.
Didn't start off as hot as they did last time, but now they are going to have a lead in their hands. Bobby is unfortunately going to jump right after Sans falls, though, or after he teleports out, so he's not going to be able to get quite the maximum amount of value. Bobby kind of wasting his life a little bit there, but still the lead is going to be on the side of SSG. Bobby's popping another invisibility, going straight for Tyrant. One HP survival, but he is going to go ahead and get that trade. He's going to force the action a little bit. Sans is trying to take out Bell here, but he's going to be enduring some heavy fire. The penny turret is up pretty far back as well, so not ideal positioning for KCP, but as long as it reaches to the zone, that's really all that they need as they kind of clean up the middle of the zone here.
Hyper Charge being popped by Tyrant. You have the Hyper Turret. Now we're going to see a little bit more control coming in from KCP. There's a Hyper Turret being popped by Sans. It's going to allow him to do a lot more damage than the mid. Tyrant gets caught out. Beautiful stun coming in from Bobby. Zulon falls, and Fade is the next to fall. Complete team wipe. SSG are on match point and are looking to close this one out, and it's looking even more possible than it was before.
Only 25% left for them to collect on the zone. Sans is marked, which is brutal for him, but Bobby's going to go force that trade right there. No regard for his own life, but he's taking out the opponent just like he needs to do. Sans is going to be quite weak. He's going to fall as well as Chino, so we're going to see Bobby being the lone member of SSG, somehow surviving a little bit, getting another trade. He is just continually forcing these trades with a little bit of help from Sans turret, Emma.
That was crazy. I had never seen a hyper turret get that sort of value. It's such a pivotal point. Now Bobby going in, and it's basically done. It is dusted. SSG back on top, and because of that result, no team in the GKR is going to go without a loss into the playoff stage. SSG have managed to slay the champions, the kings of GKR.
That's actually insane that we just saw them pull it out. After all the slander about SSG's drafting, they pull out the most out-of-pocket pick that we've seen in the entire day, and it works against KCP, the only undefeated team. They take them down, so now we have no more kings. SSG moves up to 2-2, back in playoff position. Pioneers is going to fall to 3-1, but that was a crazy game. I'm still dumbfounded by the cat pick and it working.
Yeah, I gotta say, it seems like Bobby took the notes, chat. He definitely took the notes because that worked out flawlessly for SSG. 2-1 against Pioneers, probably one of the strongest teams in GKR right now, and even in NA. They are, I believe, third place in the NA leaderboards for the BSC as well. So this is going to bolster their confidence going into the monthly finals. And in the monthly finals, if I'm not mistaken, SSG and Pioneers can only meet in the grand finals. So this is a huge win for SSG. It's going to bolster their confidence going into the monthly finals. They've had a slew of losses, but now a very dominant victory, especially in that last set there. So good job to them and kudos to them. But just looking at the matches that we have for day number 5, which is going to be soon, we're going to have Crumbs versus Mori, Motomamis versus Stamina, SSG versus GG, LC Esports versus Pioneers, Elevate versus OG, and Real Ones versus Tribe Gaming. So we will see you there for that. But before we get into all of that, what do you think of the match here that we saw right now?
I mean, we saw some amazing matches today. We saw both of the undefeated teams, Pioneers and Tribe Gaming, falling. And although they did fall some of the better teams in the region, it's still a little bit crazy to see Tribe lose, especially on the same day as Pioneers. So love to see a little bit of competitive parity coming into the fold as we progress through GKR. Always fun to see some new teams win. Always fun to see SSG bounce back with their back against the walls. So I'm proud of all the players that performed well today, and I hope that we'll get more of the same coming into next week. But guys, make sure you're tapping in next week. We've got back-to-back days of GKR action to finish out our regular season, and I cannot wait for it, Panda.
Yeah, same time next week if you are interested in the GKR NA action. And we have a lot of great matches still coming up for you. 2 more match days to round out the group stage. Then we have the playoffs. But before that, congratulations once again to Duncan for 10,000 subscribers. And obviously, make sure you guys join in to tomorrow at 8 PST for Duncan's Mandy cosplay. I'm looking forward to seeing how that one looks. So make sure you guys are there, chat. And remember to use code PAN in the shop if you're buying anything. Could be gems, could be Brawl passes, Pro passes, whatever it is. I would appreciate that support. Thank you very much.